Well, live from Russ Chandler Stadium and McNeese Baseball Park in beautiful Midtown Atlanta, Georgia. It's time for Game 2 of the 2024 SWAC Baseball Championship. It's the upper bracket round as the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats, fresh off of a 16-1 win over Prairie View A&M yesterday, face an old foe, the Jackson State Tigers, this afternoon, with a winner guaranteeing themselves a spot in the upper bracket final and one step closer to the ultimate goal of getting to the championship game on Sunday. Hello and a very warm welcome. My name is Michael Torello. Happy to have your company. Bryce Wojnowski joins me in the booth. Bryce, I don't think I felt as nervous going into a game since the championship game last year, and for good reason. This Jackson State team hits the ball very hard. Their pitching staff is maybe as deep as we've seen in this conference this year, and the Wildcats offense has not been hitting consistently. Yes, they put up some big numbers like yesterday, but can they do it in back-to-back days?
And maybe if you're Jackson State more so than anything, they're one of the grittiest teams in this conference. They kind of have a knack for just hanging around in ball games. They play hard. They play to the final out of the game. They're always aggressive, but they're not overly aggressive to the point of taking risks, unnecessary risks. That's a really solid ball club. And really, the nerves probably come a lot from just how important this game is to stay in this winner's bracket, because you are absolutely in the driver's seat for a trip to the championship game if you can hold on for today. And I think the key for these Wildcats, and we heard Coach Hernandez tell us about it yesterday. He talked to us about it again on today's pregame show. We'll hear in just a minute. Is you got to reset. If you're going to play an inning at a time, you can't think anything about what happened yesterday. It was an outstanding start. You couldn't ask for better defensively, pitching wise, and at the plate, but you've got to wipe all that away because you've got a game to win today.
Speaking of those pregame interviews, let's get to them. First, we'll hear from the hero of the day yesterday, Ramses Cordova, who had 2 home runs and 7 RBI. Then you'll hear from Coach Hernandez as he breaks down today's matchup against Jackson State. I'm here with Ramses Cordova before the Wildcats take on Jackson State for round 2 of the SWAC tournament. Ramses, yesterday went pretty much according to plan, especially for you. 2 home runs, 7 RBI. What are your thoughts on the game?
Um, and overall, we just had a good day today, like we always do. When we get on early, we set the tone early. We always find the role and just keep winning every inning as much as possible.
How important is setting the tone early, especially coming into the playoffs? What message are you sending to the rest of the teams in the field?
Just knowing who we are, honestly. Just letting them know what we came to do and what the job we came to do, and just find our way to win every game.
We've seen Jackson State a couple of times this year. They hit the ball really hard. Their pitching can be really good at times. What is your strategy against their starting pitching tomorrow?
Get on them early. Try to get to the bullpen as much as possible because I know they don't have a great bullpen. And as like I said, we win every inning. We get to their bullpen early. We're gonna win games.
What was the vibe around the team coming back to the hotel after the win this afternoon?
Well, a great time. So win the first game of the day in the tournament. Everybody was having a great time.
Thank you. Good luck today.
Thank you.
I'm here with Coach Johnny Hernandez before the Wildcats take on Jackson State for round 2 of the SWAC tournament. Coach, let's go back to yesterday. A big win, 16-1 over Prairie View A&M. You jumped on the starter early, got him out in the first inning. Your overall thoughts on the day?
Started the conference tournament with a bang, right? Hopefully we save some runs, for this afternoon as we take on Jackson State, but just very pleased with the ball club. And we talked about it last night. How quickly can we get to the bullpen? And we did a really good job of that in the first inning. And then, even with their second guy out of the pen, he threw 2 or 3 innings and then just kind of kept on getting and attacking their bullpen. And that's what we need for a tournament like this. So a lot of positives. Definitely, enjoy the moment, but we got to flush it. We have a really good game coming up here against Jackson State.
Watching Jackson State's game this afternoon, looks like they saved their top arms for you. That only threw maybe 3 or 4 innings, rotated a couple of guys in, so you're getting their best shot. A quick preview of the Jackson State game.
I guess the good thing is that there's no secrets, right? I mean, we've played each other. I have a ton of respect for Coach Omar Johnson and what he's been able to do in his tenure there at Jackson State. But it's going to be the same consistent message: is how quickly can we get to the bullpen and just attack the bullpen, and just when the opportunities present themselves, we have to be able to capitalize. As long as we pitch, Gamboa's got to give us a strong start. I know that he's been kind of up and down this year, but he's our guy. I don't think that this is the moment where you change or you shift anything in your pitching rotation. You go with your guys and you go with your gut. And we have the utmost confidence in Gamboa to give us a really good start. And we just got to play clean defense and just execute offensively. As long as we play clean defense and pitch, I think we're going to have a pretty good shot at this tomorrow or today.
Talk about Tanner Bocabello. Really important for him to come out, give you 5 good innings, only give up 2 hits, 1 run, especially coming back off injury.
No, I think it was huge. I think it's definitely a confidence booster knowing that he was able to come in and give us 5 innings. I think he was at like 79, 80 pitches. And at that point, with the game being what it was, it just doesn't make any sense to keep rolling him out there. So just very pleased with the effort and just the resiliency and just the grit that he has. He didn't want to get nobody was going to get that start taken away. We weren't going to take that away from Boca. And he made it very clear, that this was his game, that he was going to pitch. So just looking forward to Marcos, picking up on the momentum that Boca gave us. And, Yoanso Diaz did a really good job in 2 innings in relief.
How important is tomorrow's game for the fact that if you drop to the lower bracket after tomorrow, you start having to play doubleheaders and start having to get up at 9 in the morning again?
I mean, it's definitely a big game, right? Like you win the game and you're pretty much, sitting pretty, on Friday. But at the end of the day, you can't worry about what's going to happen after. You just got to take care of business. And what we told the guys again, and I talked to you about this last night, don't play 1 9-inning game, just play 9 1-inning games, if that makes sense to everybody that's listening out. So what we want to do is just take it pitch by pitch, at bat by at bat, inning by inning, and we just got to continue, doing what we have to do and just play with the utmost confidence and just having fun and staying loose. At the end of the day, in all reality, there is no pressure, right? We're out there playing a kid's game and our guys are having fun. And, it was really fun yesterday and hopefully we continue that fun today.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck.
You got it. Hail Wildcats.
The Wildcats have taken the field, and as we say hello to the BCU baseball team, hello to the booth cam, and those of you watching on the CatEye Network, thank you for tuning in to our radio broadcast. No WELE today, unfortunately. We'll be back on the airwaves in Daytona Beach if we make it to Sunday. The starter today for Bethune-Cookman, Marcos Gamboa. He's been your typical middle of the series starter, second game of the tournament. They're going to run him out. The starter for Jackson State, we assumed, was going to be Eric Gonzalez or Isaiah Williams, their top 2 arms who didn't throw yesterday. But Omar Johnson, the head coach for Jackson State, has thrown us a curveball. Steven Spurgeons Jr. is starting on the hill for them. Doesn't have a lot of innings pitched this season, only 23 1/3. We'll, of course, talk more about that once the Wildcats come to bat in the bottom of the first. But Gamboa, important for him to get off to a strong start tonight with that 5.76 ERA, one of the highest on the staff.
Absolutely, a guy who's had a very up and down season and a couple of starts against Jackson State this year. Back on April 6th, went 4 2/3, allowed 6 hits, 3 runs, all earned. And then on May 11th, just a few weeks ago, he went 6 1/3 inning, allowed 6 hits, 5 earned runs. That line may not seem great, but really, if you're the Wildcats, you would probably be happy with something like that today. You got to keep the bats going. You got to put up some runs behind them.
Well, the center fielder, Rodney Hibbler Jr., the senior batting .347, steps in to the right-handed batter's box. It is black hats with a maroon bill, as there's a ball loose in the outfield. we delay the start for a little bit. Somebody from the Jackson State bullpen's going to have to run out and get it. But Bethune-Cookman, black hats, maroon bill, black jerseys, maroon script on the front trimmed in white. Jackson State, navy blue jerseys, gray pants. Jackson State in white on the front and white numbers. Gamboa is running. The batter Hibbler is running. And away we go. First pitch is in on the hands, fouled away to the first base side. And game 2 of this SWAC tournament for Bethune-Cookman is underway. Now, we didn't get a chance to talk about it in a kind of abbreviated pregame show. They did get this game underway a bit faster than we were anticipating up here in the booth, but Jackson State absolutely dominated Texas Southern yesterday, just like the Wildcats did to Prairie View A&M. There's a fastball strike at the knees, 0-2 on Hibbler. Also a run rule, also a 7-inning game, so they're fresh and ready to go as well. Gamboa up 0-2 on Hibbler. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball, fouled straight back, still 0-2. Rest of Hibbler's numbers, 62 runs on 68 hits, 14 doubles, 5 triples, 5 homers, and 36 RBI, getting on base at 467. And kind of like Alabama State, this is a team with some gaudy offensive numbers in these Jackson State Tigers, as the first ball of the game from Gamboa misses low and away trying to get a swing.
And unlike a lot of these teams in the West that we've seen struggle early on in these tournaments, these are very real numbers against very real SWAC East pitching. Teams like Bethune-Cookman, teams like Florida A&M, and even Alabama State.
That one's hit off the end of the bat, foul first base side again. 2 games in the books already today. On this side of the bracket, Texas Southern beat Prairie View A&M 3-2 in a barn burner. Prairie View had the bases loaded, down 1 in the bottom of the ninth, but could not hold on as Texas Southern sent them home. So the loser of this game will play the Texas Southern Tigers tomorrow, 9 a.m. Gamboa misses with a breaking ball outside the count 2-2. A long opening AB here from Rodney Hibbler.
That's what Jackson State's going to give you. Batter to batter. They're going to stay in it. Smart lineup.
Here's the 2-2. Popped fly down the first baseline, headed towards the line. It will go foul into the congregation of Southern Jaguars, who are recouping after their loss. They were just sent home by Alabama State in a pretty entertaining game, 11-8.
2 of the 4 SWAC West teams have gone on home already. Kind of, I think for those of us who are working the SWAC East day to day, kind of not unexpected, just different kind of baseball out there.
There's a strike 3 call. Fastball at the knees. And Gamboa gets Hibbler to go down looking. And that's a good start because we know Marcus can get really hot. He's had some amazing mound appearances, like 1 run allowed in 7 2/3 against Alabama State about a month ago. He's gone deep in games. He's given you over 100 pitches twice. When he gets that confidence rolling, he can be the guy. First pitch, that's smacked right back up the middle for a base hit by Jordan McClatty. And, well, that's the other side of Marcos Gamboa's game. He pitches the contact, and a lot of that time, the contact is very hard.
And Marcos Gamboa is a guy who pitches and plays with emotions on his sleeve. He thrives off of that emotion and that momentum. And so it's going to be important to see how he works with guys on base versus with a clean base paths and just see overall if it speeds him up.
Here's Lily Montesano, the first baseman. Last time we saw BCU on these airwaves, Montesano was playing third base in that series where the Wildcats took the first 2 and then lost on Sunday. Gamboa, as he throws over to first base to check on McClatty twice, did not feature in that game. Oh, no, he did feature in that middle game, gave up 3 runs on 6 hits and 4 2/3, a game the Wildcats eventually walked off in the ninth, 6-5. There's a fastball outside, 1-0 to Montesano. Lenny batting .333, the junior, 39 runs on 65 hits. A team high 16 doubles, 2 triples, 10 homers, also a team high, and 51 RBIs. They go back to first again. Umpires today, Calvin Hill behind the plate, Kevin Bradley at first, Derek Everett at second, Brian Clark at third. Finally, Gamboa will address Montesano at home, and it's popped sky high, first base side. This will be a long run for somebody. It's going to be the right fielder, Sergio Rivera, to squeeze it for out number 2.
And that's another really welcome sign early for Marcos Gamboa with the runner on base. Of course, Jordan McClatty, one of the top base stealers in the SWAC. He's got 36 on 39 attempts. Very putting a ton of attention on the runner over there, very clearly in the back of his mind, but did not let it get to him and affect the guy at the plate, and you induce a weak pop-up. A lot more of those today.
And now it'll be Miles White standing in, the second baseman. Junior batting .346. 40 runs on 53 hits, 9 doubles, 4 homers. Or 4 triples, no homers, and 38 runs batted in as they continue to pound the first base mid of Manny Sufrain to keep McClatty there. 2 away, nobody in, top of the first. And they throw over there again. That time it's close, but McClatty is back in there.
Wildcats have a tendency to throw over a lot on guys and focus on 1 or 2 guys a game and throw over 5, 6, 7 times. It usually has a way of ending up in an error eventually, so you just have to be careful.
Finally, the first pitch to the plate. It's a pitch out to try and get McClatty stealing. I mean, with 2 outs, you'd almost expect them to just try and focus on the batter, get out of the inning. I'm glad he's only on first. It's not like he's at third base.
And stolen base isn't the worst thing in the world.
They go over there again, and McClatty is safe. And this is why I think you kind of need that disengagement rule that the professional ranks have, where you can only disengage 3 times, and if you don't get the guy out at first, he's awarded second base, because it's already been 4 pickoffs in this batter, and we've only thrown 1 pitch. Here's number 5.
And the way I see it, you would much rather see a guy like Jordan McClatty earn his way to second base with a steal rather than do it yourself by throwing it into the foul territory, potentially ending up in more bases. Just not a great thing to do early.
Gamboa comes home with it. Ground ball to first, fielded by Manny Sufrain on one knee. He'll step on the bag, and that ends the inning. See, just focus on the guy at the plate and get him out. That's all you need. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left for Jackson State. And as we go to the bottom of the first, it's the Tigers nothing. The Wildcats coming to bat. This is Bethune-Cookman University Baseball on CatEye Network Radio and 1380 WELA. Back in Atlanta, we go to the bottom of the first. Wildcats coming to bat, and they will face the left-handed Stevens Spurgeon Jr., the junior from Bellevue, Nebraska, and a transfer from Northeastern Community College. I mentioned briefly in the pregame show, he has not pitched a ton this year, only 23 and a third innings pitched, but did go 7 full innings last time out at a loss at Louisiana. And it's going to be Daniel Figueroa, first man in for the Wildcats in that right-handed batter's box. First pitch to Figgy is a breaking ball outside and low, ball 1. Figueroa batting .304. He's pulled his average up over 300 coming into the tournament. 39 runs on 45 hits. As another breaking ball is outside 2-0. 5 doubles for Figueroa, 1 triple, and 16 RBI. Getting on base at .444. Pretty good for a leadoff man. He squares to bunt, puts it down foul.
And this is something we talked about with Coach Hernandez. One of the things he mentioned a lot was the familiarity between these two teams, between Jackson State, between Bethune-Cookman. And one of the things that comes with that by starting a guy like Stevens is maybe the lack of that familiarity.
Ground ball towards second, slow roller, fielded by White. He'll make the play, 1 down.
It's certainly going to be a gamble by Jackson State to put a guy like Spurgeon Jr. out there, just because not a whole lot of familiarity. Big spot. Hasn't pitched since the 7th of this month when he was strong at Louisiana, but has not appeared since then. So it's a big spot.
Here's Garrett Sean yesterday in the win against Prairie View A&M. 2 singles, a walk, a fly out, and 2 runs scored. Nobody on, 1 out here in the bottom of the first, no score. And a big, slow curveball misses upstairs, ball 1. Not a lot of velocity on Spurgeon's stuff, which makes me think this is more of an opener situation. As Chun fouls one back, they're having to wait so long on this slow off-speed pitch. And then maybe after 2 innings where the Wildcats are trying to start to time that up, bring in somebody who throws the fastball.
That's why you got to jump on it early.
1-1. Chun checks his swing, takes a ball up and in. It's another curveball.
And this is the kind of patient Wildcats team that could very easily sit back on pitches like that and see them well. They've already gotten a good chance to look at it.
There's a strike. Chun takes it, asks the umpire where it was. 2-2 on Garrett, who's batting .268 on the year. And the pitch is low, bounce to the plate, in fact. The catcher, Sebastian Cabeza, has it bounce off his leg and roll away, and the count is full. Chun, 45 runs on 59 hits, 7 doubles, 3 triples, and 40 ribbies. And he looks at the full count delivery, and it is low, ball full. And the Wildcats have their first base runner.
If the Wildcats can start fast, especially offensively, they're going to continue to succeed throughout this tournament. Scoring first goes a long way in this league. We've seen a bunch of teams battle back now. It hasn't mean the game is over, but being able to put runs on early gives your starter on the other end so much confidence, not to mention the bats behind you.
Here's Sergio Rivera now, batting .286, the junior out in right field. Chun on first, 1 out, bottom of the first. First pitch to him is low, ball 1. Scraped the top of his shoes with the breeze from that one. Sergio yesterday had a 2-run double that were 2 of the last 3 runs the Wildcats scored back in the 6th inning. And he waits on the changeup and fouls it straight back, count 1-1.
It really is quite a stark difference watching the way that Spurgeon pitches, just so much slower.
And everything about it, too. The windup as he spins and throws back to first, Chun in there safely. It almost looks like he's moving through molasses, and the ball comes out. It's a lot of break on it. It's not moving very fast. Something completely different for the Wildcats to look at today. Here's the 1-1. Breaking ball, swing and a miss. Rivera way out in front of it.
That's where it can fool you a little bit. The fastball isn't that much faster than the off-speed stuff, so it's just enough of that consistency to be able to get guys fooled when the ball dips below the head of the bat.
1-2. Way upstairs, leaping to get it is Cabeza. And it's 2-2. On the season, Spurgeon's ERA is .424 in 23 1/3. Here's the 2-2. Popped sky high, first base side, foul territory into the seats, about 3 rows up, and we'll do the 2-2 again. Stevens has allowed 12 runs on 19 hits, 11 of those earned, striking out 14, walking 14. He's allowed 5 doubles, a homer, 3 hit by pitches, no wild pitches, and 1 balk. His record in games he has pitched in is 4-1. And another throw over to first to try and look at Garrett Chun.
Certainly the one thing that's going to be consistent between these two teams is going to be that pressure on the base path. Both these teams like to run. They like to almost start their offense from the run.
Another breaking ball, tap foul back to the net by Sergio Rivera. And just like the top of the first, these first couple at-bats going deep into counts.
And when you've got somebody who doesn't throw that hard stuff, doesn't have the back-breaking off-speed stuff, the more you can foul off, the better look you're going to get at pitches, and the easier it's going to be to time them up and put them out into play.
Another throw over to first. That's what's keeping these at-bats going so long, especially for the Wildcats. Now the 2-2. Tap foul into the glove and a strikeout. Strikeout number 15 on the season for Spurgeon. 2 away in the inning, and it'll be Jose Gonzalez to hit.
I'm a little bit surprised we never saw a bunt attempt in that AB from Sergio Rivera. I think the Wildcats may be trying to continue the momentum from yesterday and not immediately go to small ball if they think they can free swing. But I wouldn't be surprised the later it goes without runs if that changes.
Here's Jose Gonzalez. Statistically, the Wildcats' best hitter looks at a 12-6 curve that misses low. But yesterday was hit by a pitch and scored, and then fly out, fly out, fly out. One of those resulted in an RBI. And he grounds one foul outside of third in the count 1-1. So he'll be looking to get back to it, as will the next man up if we get there, Manny Safrain. The 2 guys that you maybe think can hit the ball the hardest in the order had the worst days yesterday, and that's a pretty good recipe for some success if everybody else can keep up a similar kind of consistency at the plate.
It takes a hero every day. And you don't have to rely on your best players day to day. It can win you a championship.
Spurgeon's 1-1 is in the air, right field. Moving over is McClatty, 3 steps in from the track. He'll make the catch, and that ends the inning. No runs, no hits, and 1 left. We go to the second inning of play. No score here between the Tigers and the Wildcats. On the CatEye Network. We go to the second at McNeese Baseball Park, Rush Chandler Stadium on the campus of Georgia Tech in Midtown Atlanta. No score between the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats and the Jackson State Tigers. Upper bracket round 2 here at the SWAC tournament. Robert Tate Jr. will lead it off. The freshman batting .361. 38 runs on 52 hits, 6 doubles, 2 triples, 26 RBI for Tate. As Marcos Gamboa is into his windup and delivers a fastball high ball 1. This is going to be an interesting game, Bryce. We've seen a couple of different types of games between these two teams this year. We've seen the lower scoring pitching battles, as here's the pitch, low ball 2. We've seen the high scoring run fests. I think this one may end up being somewhere in between.
I really think, Mike, we talked about it a little bit yesterday after the first game, that this is maybe the best matchup we may see until the championship game for any team in this tournament.
Fly ball shallow right. Rivera tracks it for out number 1. That was a fastball in on the hands.
And that's a good pitch to go to in this ballpark because it's really tough for most hitters, especially at this level, to be able to move your hands quickly enough to put any power to that. We've seen the ball fly out of this ballpark. And if you're going to leave stuff out over the heart of the plate or even more towards that outside edge for these right-handers to flick it over that right field wall, it can be a long day for you on the mound.
First pitch to Joseph Eichelberger. Missed with a fastball low and away. 390 to dead center field. Up and in ball 2. The left power alley's 382, left field line 329, but right field's where it's at. 350 to the alley, 334 down the line. How many home runs were there in the last game that we just sat back here and watched?
I think
7?
we watched at least 6, yeah.
There's a strike, fastball down the middle.
And they've been really all over the ballpark. It hasn't just been to that right field. There were a couple of homers hit to left. We've seen several hit to dead center. Of course, Gonzalez-Fabo yesterday for the Wildcats hit one to center field.
2-1, soft grounder towards first. It's out of the glove of Soufrain. He knocks it down, throws to first, and Gamboa can't get there in time. So legging out an infield single is Joseph Eichelberger, and there's a man aboard with 1 down.
A little bit of a late break for Marcos Gamboa to head over to first base. Unsure how that play was going to develop, but nobody there to cover when you might want to have back if you're the Wildcats.
Here is a player we did not expect to be in this game, Arjun Huerta. The only time he's played against Bethune-Cookman this year was as a pitcher, but normally an outfield player playing left field today, and he's batting a scorching .469 as he hits one in the air to center field. Moving in and can't get there is Figueroa. It's just going to drop in front of him for a base hit. Huerta batting almost 500 in limited appearances, just 32 at-bats.
And if you're Marcos Gamboa, you don't ever love to see a base hit put in the field like that, but you will take base hits like that when you can because, again, it's staying away from that hard contact. And hard contact has bitten Marcos Gamboa a lot this year, and it's really dangerous in this park.
Here's the catcher, Sebastian Cabeza, batting .250. 31 runs on 37 hits, 7 doubles, 2 triples, 1 homer, and 23 RBI. Breaking ball, first time we've seen Gamboa go to that. It's in the zone for strike 1. So after a opening inning flyout from Tate, Eichelberger singled on the infield and Huerta singled to center. So 2 on, 1 down. Gamboa spikes one almost, and it's 1-1. A little bit of that control that we saw in the first inning from Marcos is gone. He's missed pretty badly, up and down, in this second inning. That one fouled away, and it's 1-2. And you wonder how quick the hook is going to be from Coach Hernandez. We know that Gamboa has struggled. He's given up 5+ runs in 3 out of his last 4 starts.
The Wildcats have guys in this pen that not only are really solid arms in Joel Correa, Kobe Lepovsky, but arms that Jackson State hasn't seen this year.
Here's the 1-2 to Cabeza. Just outside, missed off the plate. And it's 2-2.
It's a valiant frame job there by George Rodriguez behind the dish, but wasn't rewarded for it.
34 strikeouts to 29 walks, the ratio for Gamboa this season. And that one's back up the middle, another base hit. Eichelberger's going to have the green light. He's going to be, whoa. And the stop sign put on very late is a great throw from Figueroa all the way to Rodriguez behind the plate. but the bases are loaded with 1 out for Jackson State.
And I think if Eichelberger had continued with a full head of steam, he probably would have had a shot at it with the throw a little bit offline from Figueroa in center. But now's the time where you really see what a guy like Marcos Gamboa is made of because the pressure is on.
Eichelberger on third, Huerta on second, Cabeza on first. Infield single and 2 singles to center after an inning-opening pop-out by Tate. The batter is the 9-hole hitter Shamar Harris, batting .429 in limited ABs. And he fouls one off down the first base line, 0-1.
Unsurprisingly, Jackson State coming up first pitch swinging.
Harris, 42 at-bats, 11 runs on 18 hits, 2 doubles, 7 RBI, with an on-base percentage of an even .500. And if you're Gamboa, you got to attack the strike zone now with the bases full of Jackson State Tigers. And the pitch. Swung on, ground ball towards short. They go to second for 1, back to first, safe. And Jackson State takes the lead.
That was a really nice play. I think everybody did their job respectively to give that one as much of a chance as possible for the Wildcats. It's another good pitch from Gamboa in on the hands. Just not a whole lot the Tigers can do with that. I'd like to see him stay more on the inside half of the plate, especially on these right-handers.
So Eichelberger scores from third. Huerta goes to third. Cabeza out going towards second. And Shamar Harris on first with a fielder's choice. Now 2 down and runners on the corners. Back to the top of the order now for Hibbler, who struck out looking to open up the ball game. First pitch righty to righty from Gamboa is a breaking ball strike.
1 run you can live with. Avoiding any further damage is when it starts to maybe get that confidence teetering a little bit.
And they throw over to first and got him. They caught Shamar Harris leaning, and they only give up the 1. 1 run, 3 hits, 2 left. And we go to the bottom of the second. Wildcats behind for the first time in this tournament. It's 1-0 Jackson State here on CatEye Network Radio. So for the first time in this tournament, the Wildcats find themselves behind 1-0. Still without a hit against Steven Spurgeons Jr., the junior from Bellevue, Nebraska. The first batter in the box for the Wildcats here in inning number 2 is Manny Soufrain. Soufrain, 2 walks, a fly out, a ground out, and 2 runs scored yesterday against Prairie View. First pitch strikes. This is a lefty-to-lefty matchup. First one of those we've had today. The 0-1 is fouled away 0-2. And the Wildcats, you can't get away from your plate discipline just because you're down and because you think in the back of your head, oh, I should be able to hit this guy.
Just because the ball was a beach ball yesterday doesn't mean you have to treat it like one today.
0-2. Breaking ball as Spurgeon didn't get the call outside corner 1 and 2. The Wildcats can't panic here and just start hacking away. As Soufrain pops it sky high on the infield near the first base bag. It'll be Montesano to squeeze it as he falls over Manny Soufrain, who was rounding the bag at first. So even if he had dropped it, I think it might have been interference.
Yeah, Manny Soufrain elected to round the bag rather than head down the first base line, just kind of run it out. I don't think there was anything ill-intention behind that. Neither guy looked particularly upset by it.
Now it's the catcher, Jorge Rodriguez, didn't hit yesterday, came in relief of Urban Escobar behind the plate for a couple of innings at the back end of the game. So his first AB of the tournament. It's a ball outside, 1-0. On the season for Rodriguez, batting .300, 15 runs on 30 hits, 9 doubles, a triple, 2 homers, and 15 RBI. As there's a breaking ball strike in on the hands, 1-1. And now with the lead, Spurgeon has really picked up that pace. Now throwing with about 15 seconds left on the pitch clock. And that one is golfed high in the air down the left field line. It will stay in the yard and be caught right at the wall by Arjun Huerta.
A tough break. Gave it a charge, a little too far underneath that ball. Even with the wind starting to kick up for the first time since we've been here in Atlanta, just not enough under that ball.
And again, this is when the Wildcats have gotten themselves into trouble, downing games, swinging early in counts, giving the opposing pitchers quick innings. Here's Jorge Gonzalez-Fabo. Had a really good day yesterday for the freshman as he watched the fastball upstairs, ball one. And that one's in the dirt ball, too. Fabo yesterday, a single, a walk, a 3-run home run, and 3 runs scored. 2-0 from Spurgeon now. Breaking ball finds the bottom of the zone, and it's 2-1.
Fabo yesterday really started to look like that freshman who started opening day.
And that time it's hit high in the air to left field. Down the line, it is foul. That had home run distance, not home run accuracies. It bangs off the John and Mary Brock indoor football facility outside the left field line.
And as you see more and more swings, foul or fair, put together like that, starts to maybe show the opening style of Spurgeon Jr.
2-2, little dribbler to the first base side. That'll go foul. So Spurgeon came back with a fastball. Fabo fought it off. But yeah, the Wildcats are aiming for the fences against this slow breaking ball that Spurgeon's been hanging. Here's the 2-2. And it hit him on the waist. And the Wildcats, for the second inning in a row, have a base runner via the free pass. This one comes with 2 outs.
And it's going to take those little things, those taken hit by pitches, those taken walks. Not always going to be the base hit. And it's certainly not going to be the long ball that's going to consistently win you games in a tournament like this. You just wonder what moment in the game you start to fire up the bats a little bit. If it's a hit by pitch, so be it.
4th hit by pitch on the season for Spurgeon, and this brings up the man who hit 2 home runs yesterday, Ramses Cordova. Fabo goes to second. Here's the throw. Not in time. The ball skips into center field. Fabo's going to head for third. Here's the throw. It is safe. As sliding in safely after the error is Jorge Gonzalez-Fabo, and the tying run is now 90 feet away.
A little bit of a stressful play there. Took off a little late to get up after the ball sailed out there into center field. But the nice hustle from the freshman is able to award him third base, and now you're really in business, even though there's 2 outs.
Anything on the outfield will score. Fabo here for Ramses Cordova. He's ahead of the count 1-0 against Spurgeon. Here's the pitch. It's low, ball 2. And Ramses Cordova, after not putting up the best numbers in the regular season, just batting .208, has put the SWAC tournament on notice. The 2-0. Big breaking ball catches the outside corner, 2-1. That's a generous call from home plate umpire Calvin Hill.
And if the Wildcats aren't going to be able to get that call on that pitch, it's going to be a long day, because if that's over the plate, that's a meatball.
Oh, that's a strike 2 swinging from Cordova through that slow curveball again, and Ramses was way out in front of it.
Definitely guessing fastball.
2-2, 2 outs. Fabo on third. Cordova stays alive, takes another breaking ball into foul territory, third base side. The Wildcats need to do what they did yesterday, which is string hits together. You can't scatter hits against a team like this. 2-2. That time the fastball is ripped to left field and deep. Back towards the scoreboard, and hit the scoreboard! Have a week, Ram! Adios, amigos! It's home run numero 3 in 2 days for Ramses Cordova, and it's 2-1 Bethune-Cookman.
And like you say, have a week. We're only 2 days into this thing, and he is on fire. There is not a hotter hitter in this tournament than Ramses Cordova. kind of looked in that AB like he was a little crossed up after the ball on the outside call he didn't like. Ball came in well out in front of, put one a little bit more inside the hands, and he was every bit there for it. Absolutely smoked that ball.
That one was halfway up the scoreboard.
That would have been gone anywhere in this park.
First pitch, a breaking ball again, wide outside corner. This is Colton Olison now. 271 on the season for the senior. 25 runs on 45 hits. He'll watch one low for ball one. 8 doubles, 1 triple, and 23 RBIs for Olison this year. 1-1. Breaking ball, and man, is Spurgeon getting that outside corner now. The Wildcats are going to have to step in and choke up and just try and make contact on that.
Hitting a curveball on the outside edge like that is not an easy pitch.
Went for the curveball again, did Spurgeon. That time missed it in the outside batter's box. 2-2. 2-2, 2 outs. And Olison gulps one high in the air towards left field. That will hang in the air. Huerta will make the catch, but the Wildcats take the lead. The 2-run home run by Ramses Cordova, and it's 2-1 Bethune-Cookman as we head to the third here on the CatEye Network. Back in Atlanta, we go to the third, 2-1 Bethune-Cookman as Ramses Cordova's 2-run home run has given the Wildcats the lead. And Rodney Hibbler Jr. will stand in. He was in the batter's box when Shamar Harris was picked off at first base, so he'll get the inning underway for Jackson State. And Marcus Gamboa breaking ball low, ball one.
The shutdown inning after a little bit of a rally is always a very important factor in games like this.
But Hibbler smacks one through the left side on the ground, and that'll be a base hit. And there's some of that hard contact. Already the 5th hit of the game for Jackson State. There's nobody out the third.
And we said it coming in. Jackson State could be up in this game 6-0. They could be down in this game 12-0. And they're going to swing the bat, and they're going to put together hard contact and quality at bats. And it's Marcos Gamboa's job to work around those.
Here's McCloud, who singled to center his first time up. A throwback to first. And I think this might be where the Wildcats make most of their outs, is pickoffs and caught stealings.
Until the one time it results in a throwaway, and then I don't think we'll see it much anymore.
And they throw over again. And you can tell that now Jackson State is not leading off very much, at least after the pickoff of Harris last inning. Hibbler, one of the faster guys on this team, 33 stolen bases on 37 attempts. That one low in the dirt. Big pop from Rodriguez trying to get Hibbler as well. But Hibbler and McCloudy have 33 and 36 steals respectively. Nobody else on this team has more than 14, so it's just the top 2 guys. The 1-0 from Gamboa is another throwback to first.
I just don't know if I like the consistent call to throw over. I understand the threat on the base paths. I understand you want to try to avoid a guy in scoring position, but it's stressful enough worrying about the guy in the box.
Finally, the 1-0, and it's bounced to the plate, and it gets away from Rodriguez to the backstop. And, I mean, you're giving him a free base anyway.
And I don't think the two things are necessarily disconnected. I mean, you're not going to blame the throw over for the reason that you spiked a pitch like that. But when that's so constantly in the back of your head, it influences the way that you want to work to the plate because now you're going to work a little bit quicker because you want to avoid the steal, and you're always anticipating the throwback, and there's just a lot of little things that work into that.
Wild pitch numbers for Gamboa on the season. That's only his third charged wild pitch of the year. But it results in a free base for McClatty, who's now on second with nobody out. Corners come in, maybe expecting the bunt here. Count is 2-0. Gamboa winds and fires after checking the runner. And he misses again outside. 3-0. And now the throw back to him from Rodriguez goes over his head, and Cordova had to pick it up over there at short. And Wildcats is very nervy on defense right now.
Which is so much different than what we saw yesterday. But a lot of that comes with that 7 spot in the bottom of the first from yesterday's game that just gives you so much confidence.
Marcos deals the 3-0, and ball 4 didn't miss anywhere near close. And 2 on, nobody out. And Jackson State is going to threaten every inning. And I remember last year as Lenny Montesano steps in, last year in the last series of the season, and of course the game we played against Jackson State at the tournament, it was like that. Every batter, you were just crossing your fingers and sweating because they just put so much pressure on you. And that is the hallmark of an Omar Johnson team. First pitch, both runners go. Throw down to third. Is in time. And they get Hibbler at third, and this might be a review because Omar Johnson is hot over there in the third base coach's box.
Yeah, with the late out call, I'm not sure if maybe they think the runner overslid the bag and was tagged on the way back. It didn't look in real time like the play was made on the initial tag. We're definitely going to have a review, I would have to imagine. These coaches love going to it.
Yep. First one of the day. We had 2 yesterday. Both went in the Wildcats' favor. So it was a double steal. Hibbler went to third. McClatty went to second. McClatty's going to be there no matter what. It looked like the throw from Rodriguez to Fabo at third was on time, just a little high.
Watching the replay back, just so quick to get down to second. It definitely, if the play was called, or to get down to third, excuse me, if it was called out, it was absolutely that he slid off the bag. But watching that foot get in from the SWAC's feed, it doesn't look like he ever left the bag, but was running so quickly, overslid it.
Yeah, but now there's going to be second and third and nobody out. And now you got to think about limiting damage instead of keeping Jackson State off the board.
And there's the bullpen for Bethune-Cookman starting to get to work. Looks like it may be Dylan Dudones, but I can't quite tell.
And this is where the dominant win and the quick win in only 7 innings yesterday helps you, right? You only used 2 pitchers, one of them being the starter. Yo-Yo only went 2 innings. So everybody's available down there to come in and try and stabilize this game if necessary.
And they should be early and often, because if you think about the prospects of keeping this game, winning this game, staying in that winner's bracket, potentially setting up a off day on Saturday, these should all be operated within the scope of a championship game. You want to win this ball game.
Quick little correction. I thought that the coach at third was Omar Johnson. It is not. It is Justin Thomas, the assistant coach who's down there at third. Johnson is one of those coaches that likes to be in the bench the whole time, like we saw Johnny Hernandez last year. We are still under review for a play at third. Rodney Hibbler apparently stole third and was called out. Jackson State challenge. It looks like he's safe on the replay, but the question is, did his foot come off the bag and he overslid it, and then Fabo tagged him out? That's what they're looking at on the replay.
I mean, really, almost too fast is Hibbler Jr., because that's the entire reason the play is in question, is because he was so quick to get into his slide motion, so fluid, that it was just his back foot that held onto that bag by the time he got all the way through it. Yeah, I do think it's probably one where it's, well, the call on the field was out, so I was going to say it may stand because of the call that was made, but I do think he will be safe. But it's been a bit of a longer review than I thought.
But Marcos Gamboa now throwing some pitches, trying to keep that arm warm, but he's now, it looks like he's in his own head a little bit. He's missed nowhere near the zone, especially in that walk to McClatty. He's been hit hard, giving up 5 hits already in 3 innings, or in 2 1/3. And
And it's been on the outer half of the plate that Marcos Gamboa has really struggled, low and outside. But some of his better ABs, some of his weaker contact have been when he's able to put the ball closer to the hands of these Jackson State Tigers who can't get in on it quick enough. And he's trying to instead work those outside and low corners, and he's just missing by way too much.
Coach Hernandez doesn't look happy. It looks like you are correct, and Hibbler will be safe, even though the two umpires that have gone into the review booth have not overturned it yet, or come back to overturn it yet. Long hold here.
I mean, I will say neither coach looks particularly happy. Coach Omar Johnson has certainly given it to another official on the other side of the field. That doesn't mean that I think that the play was reversed, but coaches just have a way of never really being truly satisfied.
No, and even last night when we were talking to Johnny for the pregame show, he didn't even really look satisfied with a 16-1 win because he knows that the Wildcats are here to do a job this week, and it's not just one game, it's not just two games, it's all the way through Sunday if you keep winning.
And he also knows there's been times in the season where the team has kind of lulled back into a little bit of silence from the bats or on the mound. There's been times where they haven't come out the next day looking like a team that won 16-1 or 20-1 or whatever that Alabama A&M score was so long ago when they came out and then lost 2 of the next 3 games. So you got to keep the guys engaged. Part of it is maybe a show to put on to keep the guys, who get out there and take those plate appearances day to day. Just keep them on their toes and know that, hey, head coach isn't necessarily satisfied. He's not resting on anything you've done today. It's what are you going to do for me tomorrow?
Yeah, the games you're mentioning is the 16-7 win against Mississippi Valley State. Then they went on the road at Alabama A&M, won 20-3, and then lost the next 4 games. So baseball is a game of ups and downs, ebbs and flows through a season, through a game, even through something as small as an at-bat. But the Wildcats have to stay in it, and they're going to have to stay in it with the bats today because Jackson State is not going to go away.
They're going to continue to put that pressure on. If you look at it now, we'll wait on it because here comes the call.
Here come the officials. He's out at third.
Wow.
So there must not have been enough evidence to overturn, is what the call must have been.
I'm guessing it was probably that angle, that home plate style angle was probably the best look they had of it. And it probably was a depth perception issue where you couldn't quite tell if the foot was on or off the bag. And so they have to ultimately keep the call as stands. It's truly surprising.
Now a runner on second with 1 out for Lenny Montesano, who popped up shallow left his first time up. Pitch. Breaking ball popped up to shallow right. That's going to be Rivera to make the catch. It's deep enough that McClatty will tag and go to third, but now there's 2 away in the inning, and that caught stealing is huge.
Enormous break, absolutely, because you go into that AB thinking there's no outs, 2 guys in scoring position, and quickly turn it around, and now you're 1 pitch away from getting out of this thing unscathed. Hopefully that gives Marcos Gamboa a little bit of confidence on the mound, and you don't still worry too much about the guy over there at third, because this game is in your hands.
Now the batter is Miles White. He grounded out unassisted to Betty Sufrain at first his first time up, but spikes that first pitch again. It's just been very nervy for Marcos Gamboa. No consistency, can't really find the strike zone, and when he does, it's getting hit hard. Here's the pitch. In the dirt, ball 2, and 3 of the 4 batters now in this inning, he started behind 2 balls, no strikes.
And I think for Gamboa, it may be that he's just holding the ball a little too long because it's not just that he's missing consistently outside, it's he's missing in that left-handed batter's box no matter who's up at the plate.
And he's low, he spiked it again, 3-0 now.
Activity is sat down over there in the Bethune-Cookman bullpen, or maybe it never really started completely, just some guys running on down there.
That time, a ball 4. Second 4-pitch walk of the inning. 1 to McClatty, who's now at third, and now White's on first. Runners on the corners, 2 down. And here's Robert Tate Jr., who flew out to left his first time up. Correction, flew out to right.
And that's why you kind of hold your breath the whole time when Jackson State's at the plate, because if you were to look at these 2 offensive statistics throughout the game so far, just because Bethune-Cookman is in the lead does not mean that I wouldn't rather have Jackson State's stat line and Jackson State's approach. They've been much more consistent, and they will result in runs more frequently than Bethune-Cookman's start would.
First pitch to Tate is low again, and he's just over-rotating on it, and he can't pull it up into the strike zone. I wouldn't be surprised as now somebody's up and throwing. Looks like Dudonis over there in the Wildcat bullpen, but maybe a visit from the pitching coach here to just try and settle him down. Here's a 1-0 from Gamboa. Upstairs now, overcompensated 2-0, and there will be just a player's visit. And nope, Rodriguez went halfway there, then turned around and came back from a word from Coach Johnny Hernandez.
Yeah, Coach Hernandez gave that bullpen the big hurry up sign we see him go to a lot. I don't think Marcos Gamboa is long for this game.
Trying to get out of this inning, though. Runners on the corners, 2 down. And there's one, finally, the first strike thrown that's been called by the umpire, I believe, in this inning, because Hibbler was first pitch swinging, 4-pitch walk, first pitch swinging fly out, 4-pitch walk. And that one's outside. The runner goes to second. Miles White will take it without a throw, as they don't bite on the double steal technique, and that's second and third now with 2 down, but the count is 3-1. So Gamboa is risking walking the bases loaded, and then you're right back to where you started. (3-1), wind and fire, missed it badly, ball 4. 3 walks in the inning, and the bases are loaded, and that might be the end for Marcus Gamboa. And I believe that's Dylan Dudonis out there is going to be in a tough spot. Bases loaded, 2 outs, Wildcat lead just 1.
You know, you figured Gamboa there would, in another situation, maybe doesn't have 3 balls on the board, just try to start pumping them down the middle. But this Jackson State team is one that you can't afford to do that. You can't afford a get-right pitch where you're attempting to just find the zone just to give yourself a little bit of confidence. We kind of knew that this might be a possibility for Gamboa just because he hasn't shown consistency all year long. He's shown a tendency against some of these better teams to just let up too much consistent contact. The walks haven't necessarily been the most of the problem for Gamboa on the season, although it is one that eventually does him in for today.
The batter will be Joseph Eichelberger. He singled on the infield to the first base side. Manny Sufrain went over there and got it, but Marcos Gamboa was not quick enough to cover the first base bag. Eichelberger eventually scored the only run of the game for Jackson State so far on a Sebastian Cabeza single.
And I do like the aggressive move to the pen for Coach Hernandez, as much as you'd love to try to see a guy like Gamboa work through this game and try to give you a few more innings and hold on to that bullpen flexibility. The winner's bracket is priority number 1, and you want to try to stay in this game. Just because it's not an elimination game doesn't mean you can't treat it like one. And Dudonis hasn't always been the best with runners on base and runners in scoring position. Tends to slow his approach down a little bit, but he's been able to work a lot of longer outings for these Wildcats in middle relief, and hopefully in this case get you to a setup guy and eventually a closer if the Wildcats can hold the lead.
Dylan Dudonis will attempt to be the Band-Aid in this situation. Bases full of Jackson State Tigers with 2 outs. Wildcats lead 2-1. His numbers on the season, Dudonis, he's got a 3.13 ERA and 37 1/3 innings pitched. He's given up 16 runs on 27 hits, 13 earned, striking out 29, walking 19. He's given up 3 doubles, 2 triples, 3 homers. He's thrown 6 wild pitches, 5 hit-by pitches. And he has 2 saves on the year as well.
And Dylan Dudonis has one of the more complete pitch mixes of any of these Wildcats, bullpen or starter. He's got a couple of off-speed options. He's got a fastball. He's got a changeup. He can really keep hitters off guard if he can mix them all in effectively.
Big spot here. Eichelberger at the plate with McClatty on third, White on second, Tate on first. Dudonis' first pitch in the game is a breaking ball outside, missed with the slider. And the Wildcats aren't getting that outside corner that Steven Spurgeon's is for Jackson State. That looked like it was in the exact same spot.
I don't mind the pitch. Definitely was not a mislocation. Trying to get an early swing and a miss and jump ahead in the count just wasn't rewarded.
1-0. Slider, that time he got the swing and a miss as it tailed down into the dirt.
Yeah, that's the exact same pitch they were going for with the first one. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes to it again in this at-bat. Maybe set him up with some hard stuff before you go back to it to finish him off.
Bases juiced. Dudonis stares in. His pitch, a slider just barely misses inside 2-1. Actually, that was more of a 12-6 curve. A very partisan Jackson State crowd here in Atlanta today. Trying to get behind their offense. Here's the 2-1 from Dudonis. Line drive, base hit down the first baseline. That'll score 1. It'll score 2. And the Jackson State Tigers take the lead 3-2.
Well, we can't act surprised that we didn't think this game wouldn't go that way. Jackson State has the bats to stay in a game like this and to continue to put that pressure on, and certainly going to be helped by this crowd here, giving them that momentum. If you're Dudones here, you're going to have to hang in this game for a little bit, certainly into the next inning as well. So you don't want to let the inherited runners strike your confidence a little too much.
And now it's Arjun Huerta, runners on the corners. On that Eichelberger single, McClatty scored from third, White scored from second, Tate went from first to third. Huerta singled up the middle his first time up, first pitch swinging. He'll first pitch swing again and miss. The fastball run by and low and away, strike one. You could tell he was swinging for the fences, Huerta. Has 2 home runs on the season and batting almost 500 in limited ABs. And he swings and misses another one. They throw to second. The ball is there, but oh my goodness. Jackson State scores again. So it was a double steal with 2 outs. Eichelberger went to second. He was well out if Cordova didn't fall over when he was trying to apply the tag. It's now 4-2 at Jackson State as Tate comes in from third.
Issue there is the runner likely would have scored regardless. You just may have been out of the inning. Rare to see the Wildcats fall for that double steal play when it's one that they go to so often.
Now, Eichelberger on second. Got to get Huerta here. Misses with the fastball outside is Dudonis, and it's 1-1. Correction, the count is 1-2. Huerta now with a runner in scoring position. Pitch from Dudonis. Breaking ball in the dirt. 2-2.
It was such a great start to this at bat, staying in on the hands to start it against Huerta and then going a little bit more outside. Had him really fooled, but now what options do you have to get him to swing and miss here?
Dylan deals. Swing on and a line drive, deep and foul. That one may be the hardest hit ball we've seen by anybody this week, but it was yanked foul by Huerta.
And line drive is right. No arc to that ball. It got out in a hurry. Thankfully, it wasn't inside that yellow pole.
All it does is hold the count 2-2, but the Jackson State fans are really giving it to Dylan Dudonis on the mound. That one's lasered into right center field, a base hit. Coming home to score is Eichelberger, and it is 5-2 Tigers.
More activity going in that bullpen for the Wildcats. Just putting bat on ball, not doing anything crazy, not like the Wildcats. You mentioned it between breaks, maybe trying to swing a little too much of that uppercut, trying to hit it out. Jackson State has not done that. They're just trying to put the ball in play, and it's hurt the Wildcats. 7 hits already for Jackson State in this game.
This is exactly like the game that these two teams played in the tournament last year. Jackson State jumped out early. Wildcats came all the way back, eventually walked it off. But I told you coming into the day, it might be one of those games you have to win 13-12.
As Wildcats have shown that they're capable of doing that. But, man, what a start.
5 runs on 7 hits for Jackson State in 2 2/3 innings. They've already chased the starter. This just kind of looks like an inverse of what the Wildcats did to Prairie View A&M yesterday. And they're now going back to try and pick it off the runner at first as Huerta gets back in without a slide. First pitch to Sebastian Cabeza, bounced it to the plate. Runner goes to second. Here's the throw, safe. Not even a slide needed as Huerta gets in on the stolen base.
And here's where you start to see the championship medal of teams like Bethune-Cookman, where, yeah, the excitement and the energy may be in that Jackson State dugout, but you need to sometimes find a way to either manufacture it if you're the Wildcats or survive and advance without it.
Remember, loser of this game comes back here 9 a.m. tomorrow morning to play Texas Southern in an elimination game. And if you win that game, then you play Jackson State again. And you'd need to win that one to force a reset on Saturday. Just a tough, tough spot. 1-1. And the ball gets away. Slider in the dirt. Kicks to the corner. Runner goes to third. 2 wild pitches. And Huerta's 90 feet away now.
At this point for the Wildcats, it's going to be finding somebody who can stabilize this game. We knew Dudones wasn't a guy who works great with runners on, put into a position like that. So he may get a chance next inning if he can get out of this, but somebody's got to stop the bleeding.
2-1 to Cabeza. Fastball, strike 2, low and inside. Sebastian doesn't agree with it, but the Wildcats, for the second time in this inning, are 1 strike away. They were that with nobody out, and they've given up 4 runs since. Dudonis from the stretch. Spikes it again. 3-2. You kind of expect a drop off from yesterday, but maybe not something like this dramatic. Full count, the pitch. Swung on, little dribbler back to Dudonis, who leaps to grab the high hop, and that'll finally end the inning. But 4 runs plated for Jackson State on 3 hits and 1 left. And we go to the bottom of the third. Wildcats looking at a 5-2 deficit here on the CatEye Network. To the bottom of the third we go after it felt like Jackson State was at the plate for the better part of an hour, as they've got 4 runs in the inning, 5 in total. They lead it 5-2, and the Wildcats are going to have to get to Steven Spurgeon Jr. if they want to get back into this game. Back to the top of the order for the Wildcats. Daniel Figueroa leads off. Grounded out to second his first time up. Michael Turillo, Bryce Wojnowski with you here on CatEye Network Radio. First pitch to Figueroa, strike low and inside. And if you're Steven Spurgeons, who deals the 0-1, low and inside, exact same spot, strike 2, you've now got all the run support you probably think you would ever get against a team like this and can just kind of start to cruise. That one missed badly with a breaking ball.
At the same time for Jackson State, I don't think it would take much more than a base runner or 2 before everything starts to get moving down in the bullpen, just with the urgency that's required in a game like this.
Figueroa watches one low again, 2-2. That was almost the exact same spot as those first 2 strike calls. I don't know, maybe something about the way Spurgeon spins his pitches, as here's the 2-2. And it's chopped softly towards third, grabbed by Harris across the diamond in time, 1 down.
It's another ball that may have, at the jack, bounced over off of that turf and out into the outfield. But if you're the Wildcats, you have to avoid outs like that being strung together. 1, 2, 3 innings cannot happen in a game like this, especially not off the back of such a big offensive inning for Jackson State. The momentum sap would be incredible.
Here's Garrett Chun, who walked his first time up. And a slider strike tails into the outside corner to the lefty batter, Garrett Chun. 3 base runners for Bethune-Cookman, just 1 hit. As inside, forcing Chun to step back 1-1. The walk to Chun in the first, the hit by pitch of Gonzalez Fable in the second, and the home run by Cordova, where the Wildcats have their 2 runs. Chun watches a 12-6 curve catch the inside corner for strike number 2. And Spurgeon looks like a completely different pitcher than he looked like last inning.
Certainly working a lot quicker.
1-2, outside, another 12-6 curve, 2-2. We know the Wildcats offense is capable of running with Jackson State. It's can they find it? Chun, pop up, left field line, moving back to third baseman Harris, and it's in foul territory and out of play. So just a long strike to keep the count at 2-2 from Garrett Chun. He's going to get another shot.
Definitely a lucky break.
The wind, which was completely still yesterday, is lazily blowing out towards center field. And I think that may be the first time in 2 seasons I've said that. Coming from the Jack, where the wind is always blowing in off the ocean. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Spurgeon to Chun. Lefty to lefty, the pitch. Fouled away off the end of the bat. We'll do it again.
Trying to go opposite field. When the ball's in that outer half of the plate. Neither team has looked super comfortable in balls on that outer half of the zone.
2-2. Way upstairs, 3-2. Chun thought it was ball 4, almost threw the bat away, but no, he's got to look at one more as the count runs full. Loser of this game to play Texas Southern tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., 3-2. Chun fights it off, foul territory, and will do the full count delivery again. But just the contact from the Wildcats hasn't been as loud as it has been from Jackson State. Full count delivery from Spurgeon. That one tomahawked on the ground towards second. White will easily make the play for out number 2. That was up by the shoulder blades of Chun, who just whacked at it straight down.
Spurgeon not doing anything special on the mound, but he's just getting outs. He's only had 1 strikeout. He hasn't really gotten a whole lot of swings and misses. But the Wildcats just haven't been able to put bat on ball.
Here's the man that was the victim of that only strikeout, Sergio Rivera, back in the first. Wildcats down 5-2, only have the 1 hit. The home run by Ramses Cordova. And a breaking ball strike. First pitch to Rivera. And as the longer this game goes with the Wildcats behind, as here's the 0-1, the panic is going to start to set in down there, and you may start to see some less discipline at the plate than we're used to.
Just so early, so much time left in this game.
That's a big, slow curve, misses upstairs. 2-1. A little bit lower, and that's one that Rivera might be able to drive. He squares to bunt, watches one outside. 3-1 now, as the strike zone is tightened up a little bit from Calvin Hill Jr. behind the plate. 3-1 in the dirt ball 4. So the Wildcats have had at least 1 base runner in every inning via the free pass, be that a hit by pitch or a walk. This one comes with 2 outs and brings up Jose Gonzalez, who flied out to right field his first time up.
Yeah, we talk so much about the Wildcats and how much frustration can set in with the 2-out base runners, 2-out hits, 2-out walks, 2-out runs. Well, Jackson State struggled a little bit early in this game. The home run came with 2 outs last inning, and now here's another base runner when you have a chance to put a team away.
First pitch to Gonzalez. He swings and hammers one to left. That goes back. Track, wall, adios, amigos. The Wildcats have turned into the 2019 New York Yankees. All they do is hit home runs, and it's 5-4.
Another 2-out, 2-run home run for Jackson State. I mean, if you're Coach Omar Johnson, you might still be leading in this game, but you're shaking your head. Last inning, it was a hit by pitch into a home run. This inning, it's a walk into a home run. You cannot do that against anybody.
There they go. Down into the Jackson State bullpen. It's going to be Isaiah Williams, their best pitcher, who I expected to start this game, either him or Eric Gonzalez. And now it's Manny Sufrain. But the Wildcats now just down 1, and he puts one high in the air, but that's just going to hang up in the breeze. McCloudy, the right fielder, makes the catch to end the inning. But the Wildcats get 2 more runs on the home run by Gonzalez. They trail 5-4. It's so important now for the Wildcats to try and stabilize on defense, try and get a quick inning. We'll see if they can when we come back. This is BCU Baseball on the CatEye Network. Dylan Dudonis will go for his first full inning of work to try and keep Jackson State at bay. Jordan McClatty will lead. Wait a minute, what? That can't be right. No, it's Shamar Harris. Yeah, so they sent 8 to the plate in the last inning, Jackson State. Here's the 9-hole hitter. Harris fouls one back, first pitch fastball from Dudonis. And we mentioned it a little bit that he looks like a completely different pitcher almost with nobody on base. And now the Wildcats are hoping he can settle in and start mowing through these Jackson State hitters. Here's the 0-1. Breaking ball misses upstairs. And it's 1-1.
Got to be able to get ahead in counts if you're going to go deep into this game, if you're going to succeed and stabilize things.
Harris reached on a fielder's choice his first time up as he takes one up near the face, had to lean back out of the way, 2 balls and a strike, then was picked off at first to end the second inning. And Strand 2 on base. 2-1. Breaking ball, high fly, not deep, behind second base. It's actually the right fielder, Rivera, who comes all the way in, calls everybody off to make the catch, 1 down.
A welcome sign of a softly hit ball. Got under that ball, floated it out very, very shallow. The whole right field is fairly shallow with that ever close outfield wall, but nowhere close, nowhere threatening. A good piece of soft contact from Dudonis.
And now we're back to the top of the order, already the 3rd time through this Jackson State batting order. First pitch, slider, strike down the heart of the plate to Rodney Hibbler, who's the only strikeout victim for Gamboa and this BCU staff back in the first, then singled and was caught stealing in the 3rd. And another one, slider, ended up right down the middle, and it's 0-2. Now Dudonis has some space to work with here. Let's see what he goes with. He goes for the high cheese upstairs, doesn't get a swing, and it's 1-2. And if you're Jackson State, you can almost afford to kind of be more patient at the plate here with that 1-run lead. 1-2. Breaking ball, swing and a miss. Crossed up Hibbler like a basketball player. Working the outside perimeter. And there's 2 down in the inning. Second strikeout for Hibbler on the day.
We said it. Dudonis is a different guy when there's nobody on the bases. Works a little bit quicker, a little more confident with pitch to pitch, not so worried about guys on the base pass, steals, things of the like. He's been so much better.
First pitch, breaking ball. That one missed low to Jordan McClatty. McClatty singled to center his first time up, was stranded on first, then walked and scored in the 3rd. That was the inning that the Tigers played at 4. 1-0, soft pop-up, third base side. Fabo puts his hand up, makes the catch. The Wildcats finally get a 1-2-3 inning on defense. No damage for the Tigers in the inning. We go to the bottom of the 4th. Wildcats looking to tie this one up. It's 5-4 Jackson State here on the CatEye Network. Steven Spurgeons is back out for the Jackson State Tigers as we go to the bottom of the 4th. Wildcats down 5-4. Only 2 hits to BCU's name, but 2 2-run homers. One by Jose Gonzalez and one by Ramses Cordova. Now this game close. As outside of that, Steven Spurgeons has been pretty good.
You better do your damage now.
Because Isaiah Williams is warming up in that Jackson State pen inside the first pitch, forcing Rodriguez to jump back. Jorge flied out to left his first time up. Pretty easy read for Huerta out there. Check swing, no swing, fastball high. We've seen Spurgeon start to mix the fastball in a little bit more second time through the order for BCU after going mostly off speed the first time through. 2-0 is spiked 3-0. And you were telling me in the break, Bryce, after we saw him come out to take his warm-up pitches, maybe you one base runner and you're done. The situation here for Spurgeon. Here's the 3-0 pitch. Strike called on the inside corner.
Isaiah Williams hasn't had a ton of time to warm up out there. Certainly they'll start hustling at the very least if a runner gets on.
Upstairs, ball 4. The Wildcats, for the first time in this game, have the leadoff man aboard as Jorge Rodriguez walks over there.
Third base, number 29.
Fourth free pass given up by Spurgeon. That's really been his one weakness. And now here's Jorge Gonzalez Fabo, who was hit by a pitch and scored on the Cordova home run. And that is going to do it for Spurgeon as head coach Armand Johnson trots towards the mound. And now the Wildcats really do have their work cut out for them because they're facing one of the top arms in this conference.
And there is a little bit of familiarity that comes with facing a guy that you've seen before, except for that guy that you've seen before was really excellent when he took on the Wildcats down at Daytona Beach just a couple of weeks ago. You did your job by putting one guy on when you were able to, and a pretty easy at bat there for Rodriguez. But you really need to try to work pitch counts now. It's not going to be the free swinging. It's not going to be easy. You're not going to get a lot of 4-pitch walks. You're going to have to work pitch counts and put together, like we talk about, productive at-bats. They don't always have to result in a base runner. If you're working handful of foul balls, 5, 6 pitch at-bats, if you're able to move a runner up, I think I wouldn't be surprised here right at all, although maybe a hair with it being Rodriguez at the plate. You might see a bunt over. You might see a little bit of small ball. We'll see how the next AB unfolds, but you did your job against Spurgeon. I mean, you got to him quickly. You've got to this bullpen, but now Williams is a guy that can give you a lot of length. Yeah. So you want to do the best you can to get past him and keep moving.
Bullpen in gigantic scare quotes, as he's one of the best starting pitchers in the conference. The 6'5" towering figure of Isaiah Williams, the junior from Valley Springs, California. He's got a 5.23 ERA on the season, 75 2/3 innings pitched. He's given up 56 runs on 73 hits, striking out 89, walking 50. 44 of those 56 runs were earned, by the way. He's given up 15 doubles, 2 triples, 6 homers, thrown 13 wild pitches, and 4 balks and 12 hit by pitches. He is 5-3 with 1 save. And against Bethune-Cookman in Daytona Beach, about just over a month and a half ago, 7 innings, 2 runs on 3 hits, 4 strikeouts, and a game the Wildcats had to come from behind and walk off in the 9th.
Gonna have your work cut out for you. This is a legit arm. SWAC East is full of legit arms. Yesterday versus Prairie View, never really saw anybody that's on the caliber of the guys, not only in the starting rotation for teams like Jackson State, FAMU, Alabama State, but nobody in that bullpen. And Isaiah Williams is easily the best one you've faced so far, and it's up to you to show that maturity at the plate. You can't just free swing and hunt the fences anymore.
And if you look up and down this bullpen for Jackson State, there's some solid arms. C.J. Lewis, Thomas Miles, Eric Gonzalez, who we thought might start today, Giandrick Lorenz, who pitched very well yesterday in the victory over Texas Southern. Like, there is no easy out in this Jackson State bullpen. Maybe you get a Darrell Hendrick with 13 ERA, who's only pitched 5 times this season, but the main rotation of guys are gonna make you earn it.
Absolutely. And another guy, Christian Womble, fortunately went yesterday, so hopefully you may not see him. Jackson State may not have the peak guys like a Pablo Torres, Tanner Bocabella, who have that higher ceiling, but up and down the roster, absolutely a whole lot of guys who know how to play baseball, who know how to pitch, and who are ready for moments like this.
This will be a tough one as Jorge Gonzalez Fabo stands in. Runner on first is Jorge Rodriguez. Nobody out. Wildcats down 1 here, bottom 4. First pitch is a bunt down the third base line and foul. And you saw, even on a bunt, how quickly that ball leapt off of Fabo's bat just because of the velocity that Isaiah Williams can bring.
It's going to take, regardless of who's at the plate, it's going to take a handful of pitches, a handful of batters even, to adjust to such a stark contrast in pitching style and in the velocity that's coming at you.
Fabo squares to bunt again. The corners come in. Here's the pitch. It's taken high for ball one. 1-1 the count.
And still not surprised at all. Mentioned it in the switch here that we're seeing bunt. Now that you've got a runner on, just try your very best to push him home.
They throw back to first to try and prevent Jorge Rodriguez from getting too much of a lead. Rodriguez is not the fastest guy on this Wildcats team. 5 steals on the year. Fabo squares to bunt again. Puts it down, but he hit himself on the elbow, and that's going to be a foul ball. And it's 1-2 now, so you're going to have to take the bat off the shoulder.
Gonna have to swing defensively. You're probably not going to see the misses like you would have seen with Spurgeon that are well outside the zone or in the dirt. If he's missing, it's going to be close.
Catcher sets up outside, the 1-2, swinging a foul back from Fabo. He does indeed swing defensively, just trying to put the ball in play. Rodriguez on first after the leadoff walk on the pitching change from Spurgeon to Williams. The 1-2 again. Low, and it's 2-2. And Williams has almost that kind of sidearm whip action to his pitches. From the stretch, the 2-2. Swung on, grounded to third, fielded by Harris, on to second for one, back to first, double play. Well, that's what you couldn't do. 5-4-3. Around the horn it goes, and there's 2 outs in the inning.
Trying to get the replay back. I'm not sure if George Rodriguez just got a really bad, off-footed jump on that ball, but he was definitely a good step or so behind. I don't think he would have beaten it out either way, but really slow to get down to second, and now the base paths are clear, and that's why the bunt would have been valuable there, but just unable to put it down.
Here's Ramses Cordova, hit a home run back in the second inning to put the Wildcats on the board, and at that time take a 2-1 lead. Williams working quickly, misses low again with the slider that time, with a fastball slider. And he misses low again, and you can tell that nobody wants to throw to Ramses Cordova right now. I think they'll take putting him on.
Yep, they are absolutely not pitching in the zone here. Anybody else? You might groove one, try to get back in the count. No shot.
3-0. He does groove one, and now it's 3-1. I don't think the sign was on to swing on a 3-0 count anyway. Now it's going to get interesting, the 3-1. Ground ball up the middle there. It's going to be a base hit. So it's not as flashy as the home runs, but that'll do just the job. And unfortunately, if that double play doesn't happen, you're looking at maybe a run score there.
Well, and that's the first hit for the Wildcats that's not a home run today. That's what this team is so desperately needed. Piece of hard hit contact, hit way too fast for any infielder to track that one down. And now if you could start to string those together, I think you'll feel a whole lot better about your output at the plate.
Here's Colton Olison, flied out to left his first time up. First pitch, watches the fastball right down the middle for strike one. I remember coming into this tournament on the drive up here from Daytona Beach as the 0-1 is in the dirt. Runners stay put, and it is 1-1. That the bottom third of this Wildcats order is going to have to produce offensively if BCU wants any chance of going deep.
Man, Ramses Cordova has picked up that share of the load himself.
1-1 to Olison. Swing and a fly ball to left field. Lazy style for Huerta on the move, jogging. He'll make the catch, and that'll end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. The double play really doing damage in the middle there for Jackson State as the Tigers continue to lead 5-4 as we head to the 5th here on the CatEye Network. To the top of the fifth, Wildcats down 5-4 to the Jackson State Tigers. And it'll be the first baseman, native of the Bronx, New York, Letty Montesano, to get us started against Dylan Dudonis, who got the Tigers to go 1-2-3 in the fourth. First time the Wildcats had a clean inning on defense in this game. First pitch to Montesano, swinging a pop-up towards the right-hand side. Shading his eyes is Rivera, and he makes the catch towards the first base line and right, one down.
And another great start for Dudonis, working well with
Second base.
the bases empty. Another piece of soft contact. Not a whole lot going to come out of that. I wonder if, you ask Coach Hernandez about it later, maybe if he would have liked to choose a different arm first thing out of the pen with the bases loaded, somebody with a little better stuff.
Swinging a bunt down the third base line by Miles White, and he's going to be there. Completely caught the defense from Bethune-Cookman off guard in a bunt single. They get a runner on with one out.
Good heads-up play from Jackson State. They put pressure on in a lot of different ways. It doesn't always have to be with the flashy balls in the gap, the hard-hit singles. They can do it. They're athletic, much like a lot of the SWAC West, much like a lot of the SWAC as a whole. Just such an athletic team top to bottom.
Here's Robert Tate Jr., flew out to right in the second, walked and scored in the third. First pitch, breaking ball, strike on the inside corner. The last team to beat Jackson State was Bethune-Cookman back on May 10th, a 9-5 win in Mississippi. Since then, they beat the Wildcats once and then Alabama A&M twice. The third game of both of those series was not played due to rain. Spin it a throwback to first. But you can argue that there's not been a team hotter in the Southwestern Athletic Conference right now than these Jackson State Tigers.
Yeah, Jackson State winning the last couple of weekends with Alabama A&M breathing down their necks for that final start in the SWAC, and they took it.
Fastball misses upstairs, 1-1 to Tate. Tate, just the freshman, the only one, actually one of two, freshmen in this starting lineup. The other one, Shamar Harris, over at third base. 1-1 from Dudonis, breaking ball, on the ground to third. On to second for one. On to first, it's thrown wide, and it's going to be a fielder's choice. Nice job from Manny Sufrain to prevent that from going into the right field corner.
Yeah, Colton Olson wasn't quite to the bag. That ball got to Ramsey Cordova at shortstop so quickly that Olson wasn't able to make it all the way to second as of yet, so had to reach out to snag that ball and just do the very best he could with a runner in his face to fling it on to first. So again, nice job by Manny Sufrain to prevent any further damage there.
Here's maybe the Tiger that's had the best day so far, Joseph Eichelberger. 2 hits, 2 runs scored, and 2 RBI in his 2 plate appearances. He's got Tate on first after a fielder's choice, now 2 down. And that, you're right, that was a rocket shot to Jorge Gonzalez-Fable. That's why they call it the hot corner, but he did well to make the play. Eichelberger, a laser beam to left, and that's going to be a line drive base hit. 3 for 3. 1 on the infield, 1 to right, 1 to left for Eichelberger today.
I think it's safe to assume at this point that the Wildcats probably won't have a clean inning from Jackson State for the entirety of this contest. It doesn't matter. No outs, 2 outs. They are swinging. They are putting balls in play. They are getting on base, and you just kind of have to hold your breath.
Here's another Tiger that's 2 for 2. Arjun Huerta, single to center in the second and the third. Brought home Eichelberger on an RBI. First pitch upstairs, ball 1. Reached third on 2 wild pitches, Huerta in the third, but ended up being stranded there by the Sebastian Cabeza ground out. Cabeza on deck with 2 down in the top of the fifth. Dudonis looks the runners back and deals. Huerta on the ground towards first. It eats up Sufrain, but is able to underhand it to the covering Dudonis, and that gets the Wildcats out of the inning. No runs, 2 hits, and 2 left. And we go to the bottom of the fifth. Wildcats still down just 1, 5-4 here on the CatEye Network. It'll be the first full inning of work for Isaiah Williams as Bethune-Cookman trying to rally. Down 5-4 here in the bottom of the fifth. Upper bracket round 2 here in the A bracket of the SWAC tournament in Atlanta, Georgia. Michael Turillo, Bryce Wojnowski with you on the CatEye Network radio. First pitch to Figueroa is a fastball strike at the knees. Williams came in after only one batter faced by Spurgeon. The last thing, it was a walk, and then he got a double play, let up a single, but then fly out to end the inning. In on the hands, a swing from Figueroa fouls it onto the roof, and it's 0-2. Williams is the best strikeout arm that Jackson State has, 89 on the season. As he's ahead 0-2, here's the pitch. Outside, 1-2. And against BCU in that 7-inning start back on the 6th of March, he struck out 4 Wildcats. Figueroa bounced a quick one to third. Harris will field after a little bit of consternation. Looked like it went off his foot, but he recovers in time to throw out Figueroa for out number 1. So Figueroa's made contact, but 3 ground balls, 1 to second, 2 to third in this ball game to Figgy.
It was a hard hit ball, a valiant effort, and we talk about productive at bats. Not ideal, but you did force an extra pitch and then put a ball in play and make the defense make a play.
First pitch to Garrett Shun. He swings and fouls it off to the left onto the road. Garrett walked in the first and then grounded out to second and the third. The Wildcats have not been making the kind of hard contact the same way that Jackson State is as a fastball misses inside at the waist, 1-1.
Just the one base hit that wasn't a home run.
Chun watches a slider in on the outside corner, 1 and 2. You have 2 of the 3 hits for the Wildcats, the Cordova 2-run homer and the Gonzalez 2-run homer. And Cordova has the other hit with single up the middle. And it's rolled over by Chun to the first baseman. Montesano takes it himself, 2 down. And I told you in the middle of the inning after Williams came in, I kind of expected him to start cruising through this Wildcat order because that's just what he does.
Well, you just can't do him any favors. You know, we've seen 2 first pitch swings now. I'm not coming up hacking unless it's something right down the middle. You just can't afford to work those, sub 10 pitch outs and innings.
Here's Sergio Rivera now. A strikeout, a walk, and a run scored. Big hack at a changeup, and he misses it, 0-1. Was the only strikeout victim of Steven Spurgeon, who got the start for Jackson State. That one hit him on the foot, and that couldn't have felt good because that one was blazed in there from Williams. But once again, the Wildcats have a 2-out base runner via the free pass. That's the 3rd time in this game that's happened.
All the runs in this game have come with 2 outs. And all started with a free pass of some kind. And you've got a guy who's hit a home run today already. Not as ideal as the situation for him now facing Williams to do it again. But just frustrating, just giving a little bit of life.
You don't have to hit a home run. Just something in the gap, something soft to the outfield, just to prove that you can start hitting the ball. Because outside those home runs, the Wildcats have really not had an answer for either Spurgeon nor Williams. A beautiful day here in Atlanta as that one's fouled straight back. Again, first pitch swinging from the Wildcats.
I'm just not first pitch swinging against Isaiah Williams. If this was Spurgeon and you saw the slow breaking stuff and the slow fastball, maybe, but I'm not giving him the chance to get out of an AB with 1 pitch.
0-1 in the dirt, 1-1. But yeah, it's a beautiful day. Partly cloudy. It was overcast this morning, but right before our game started, the sun broke through up around 80 degrees. Low ball 2-1 the count now on Jose Gonzalez. Rivera leads off first after a 2-out walk after Figueroa and Chun both grounded out. 2-1. There's a strike. Just caught the low inside corner. Not much that Gonzalez, could do with that. Now it's 2-2. Isaiah Williams 1 strike away from getting out of the inning. Quick time called by Gonzalez. Now he stands back in. There's the pitch. Swing and a miss. High heat got him on a little excuse me swing. by Jose Gonzalez. First strikeout of the game for Isaiah Williams. Wildcats get no runs, no hits, and they leave one in the fifth. Time running out for the Wildcats to find something, and it starts with holding the Tigers in the sixth. They're down 5-4 here on the CatEye Network. Back at McNeese Baseball Park at Rush Chandler Stadium on the campus of Georgia Tech in Midtown Atlanta, we go to the sixth inning. Jackson State brings Sebastian Cabeza to the plate. The Tigers lead it 5-4. Dylan Dudon is still on the mound, and after a rocky start where he was brought in with the bases loaded, he couldn't quite get out of it. He's done all right since, kept the Tigers off the board. First pitch to Cabeza, fastball outside, ball one. Just a reminder of what's at stake. The winner of this game moves to the A bracket final tomorrow at 3 p.m. Fastball strike at the waist, 1-1. The loser of this game moves to the lower bracket. They'll play Texas Southern, who eliminated Prairie View this morning, 3-2. At 9 a.m. tomorrow, breaking ball drops into the zone on the inside corner now, 1-2 to Cabeza. So the loser of this game to just force a bracket reset on Saturday is going to have to win a doubleheader tomorrow against two different teams. The 1-2 to Sebastian Cabeza. Breaking ball didn't break far enough. This is high. Wildcats had to do that last year. Eliminated Southern early in the day and then Grambling State in the evening to make the finals. Actually beat Grambling State twice. 2-2. Inside and hit him on the hand. And that's unfortunate for Dudonis, who lets the AB get away from him. Runner on with nobody out for Jackson State.
It's the first little blip we've seen from Dudonez ever since he's been able to work his own inning. The Wildcats are going to have guys ready to go. I think Dylan Vega will be next up out of the pen if they decide to make the move.
Shamar Harris bats now. Reached on a fielder's choice in the second. Then was picked off at first base to end the second inning and then flied out to right in the fourth. He's the only other freshman on the team alongside Robert Tate Jr., at least who's starting today. With a runner on first and nobody out, here's Dudonez's first pitch, squaring to bunt, putting it down the first base line. That is going to go foul. And Harris is arguing that that should be fair because it was still touching the line when Manny Sufrene, who was charging in from first, picked it up and then tagged him with it. And to me, from the angle we have up here, it almost looked like that was the case. But, of course, the umpire's staring right at it. He made the call. So just a strike. Count 0-1 to Harris. Wouldn't be surprised if he bunted this again because they got the top of the order coming up behind it. He does square to bunt again on the 0-1. Pulls it back. Breaking ball misses low. On the other side of the bracket, we've already seen one game today. In the elimination game, Alabama State stayed alive by outslugging Southern 11-8. There's the 1-1 from Dillon, squaring to bunt again, pulling it back, and it's a fastball missing high. 2 balls and a strike. Coming up after this game will be the last game of the day. It'll be Florida A&M and Grambling State in the winner's bracket game of the B bracket, with the exact same stakes as this game. 2-1. Runner goes, and it's slapped the other way for a base hit into right field. And there's 2 on and nobody in.
What Jackson State has done that the Wildcats have not been able to do is get those those no-out base runners. And so you get a whole lot more flexibility when you've got a guy on a nobody out than when you do with 2 outs like the Wildcats have had. And so you had the opportunity to bunt a guy over or try to steal a bag and not worry so much about an out. And you're able to go to small ball when you're as athletic as Jackson State is. It's going to result in a lot of plays like that on the hit and run.
10th hit of the ball game for Jackson State. In the top of the 6th inning, Dudonis now facing a 2-on nobody out situation, spinning a throw back to second in there without much fuss is Cabeza. He led off the inning, was hit by a pitch on a 2-2 count. Then Harris singled the other way to right field. That's the other thing the Wildcats haven't been able to do against either of the pitchers. It's just that ground balls through the infield. Everything the Wildcats have hit has been right at somebody or over the fence. Now the first pitch comes home to Rodney Hibbler. He squares to bunt, pulls it back, breaking ball, low ball 1. As we're back to the top of the JSU order. Wildcats took this season series from Jackson State, but only barely 3-2. They took a 2-1 series win in Daytona Beach and then split 1-1 with a rain-out third game in Jackson just 2 weeks ago. Dudonis deals. There's a strike as Hibbler pulled back another bunt. Wildcats did a really weird defensive shift that time as the shortstop, Ramses Cordova, ran past the guy on second base, Cabezon, all the way in to potentially field the bunt while Fabo went and covered the bag from third.
Colton Olson charged all the way to first base, sold out for the bunt.
They're going to run that defensive play again. They throw back to second, and in safely is Cabeza.
Faked the play right there. That time, Colton Olson, instead of darting over to first as he had on the previous pitch, ran right over to second to see if they could try to get the runner going.
Stepping in front of the home plate to deliver the signs to his infielders is Jorge Rodriguez. Still the count just 1-1 on Hibbler. Dudonis will deal. It's bunted, and he popped it up foul territory straight back. And the count is 1-2. And Hibbler, who has not had the best of days, 2 strikeouts, a single, and a caught stealing, is seeing an opportunity in front of him to maybe drive some more runs in and increase this 1-run Jackson State lead. Cabeza on second, Harris on first, nobody down. Dudonis ahead in the count 1-2. Here's the pitch. Breaking ball, tomahawk down the left field line. That's going to be fair and dropping head towards the corner. Coming all the way in from second is Sebastian Cabeza. And for the first time since the third inning, Jackson State is on the board. It's 6-4.
Got to limit damage as much as you can with Isaiah Williams on the mound for Jackson State. Not going to have a whole lot of wiggle room, and it looks like Jonathan Hernandez is going to push a button here and head on back to the bullpen.
That'll be the end for Dudonis. The end and the beginning were tough for Dudonis' stint. The middle was not bad. He kind of stabilized, allowed the Wildcats to get back into it, but it looks like it might be Dylan Vega now trotting in from the pen.
And we really got what we expected from Dudonis. Not a guy who thrives off of runners on the base path. So not a guy that's necessarily got the strikeout and the swing and miss stuff to get you out of a bases loaded scenario like he was brought into. Cruised and did a really solid job in a couple of innings since, got a lot of weak contact, kept Jackson State at bay, and now runs into a little bit with the leadoff base runner, which, eventually results in that little bit of a slowed down approach at the mound, obviously heightened a little bit by the steal attempts, the bunt attempts, and eventually chase him from this game. But overall, I think you're not unhappy with what you got from Dudonis considering the situation he was brought into, but now you'll need Dylan Vega to repeat a similar style outing for the Wildcats to stay in this game.
Dylan Vega, the transfer from USF, the graduate student, will come in to pitch. He will have a situation of first and second, nobody out, one already in the inning for Jackson State. On the year, Vega has a 4.84 ERA and 35 1/3 innings pitched. He's given up 25 runs on 37 hits, 19 of those earned. So he's been in a lot of spots like this with runners charged to other people. He's got 22 strikeouts and 14 walks. He's allowed 9 doubles, 2 triples, 1 homer, 1 wild pitch, 8 hit by pitches. His record is 1-2 with 2 saves. Last time out was all the way back against Alabama State on the 16th of this month, where he went 2 1/3 in the day 1 loss of that series. Gave up 2 runs on 2 hits, got 1 strikeout and 1 walk.
He has seen Jackson State twice this year, back on April 6th, 3 1/3 innings, allowed 2 unearned runs on a couple of hits, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts. And then in his second to last appearance in the regular season on May 11th, he just went 2/3 innings, allowed just 1 hit with a walk and no strikeouts.
The batter will be Jordan McClatty, who singled to center in the first, walked and scored in the third, and popped out on the infield to the third baseman Fabo in the fourth. A chance to really stretch this gap for Jackson State over a Bethune-Cookman team that has struggled at the plate today. McClatty just wants to put another bunt down, which he does foul, and it's 0-1. And every run that crosses the plate, as I see Isaiah Williams down there in the Jackson State dugout just walking around trying to keep loose, it's going to give him a lot more confidence to work with. 0-1. McClatty bunts it straight back to the pitcher. Nobody's covering first. Olison eventually runs over there, and the play is made, but the runners all move up 90 feet, and there's second and third with 1 out.
And again, just so athletic, being able to put that ball in play, utmost confidence. Your guys are going to be able to move it up. Really excellent bunt right there, right where you want it to be for the sacrifice. Made it close to legging out a base hit.
Batter will be Lenny Montesano. 0 for 3, 3 flyouts. 1 to left, 2 to right. This is the third different pitcher that Montesano will face in 3 plate appearances. That's a fastball that missed just off the plate from the righty Vega, 1-0. Wildcats trying to stay within touching distance here. And that one's lasered into right field, and it's going to be caught by Rivera. Coming in to score from third is Shamar Harris, and it's another flyout for Lenny Montesano. His 4th of the game, his 3rd to right field, but that time he comes and tacks on an RBI with it, and it's 7-4.
Well, I thought from up here that was going to be a lot worse. Sergio Rivera got a good jump in the ball. Wasn't quite as far down that right field line as I thought it would be. And so he's able to make that play. And it wasn't too far off from giving the runner a little bit of something to think about trying to score on the sacrifice fly. But again, Jackson State just continuing to pile it on. The further and further you get away, the tougher it's going to have to be. And we're already to the point here. The Wildcats are going to have to change their approach offensively because you can't take it all back in one swing anymore.
7-4, Jackson State. The Wildcats had stabilized for a while. They could not come back and take the lead. And now we're going to have a review of what? It was a sac fly to right field and a runner scored from third. I'm not sure what we're reviewing here.
Well, I'm not sure either. George Rodriguez, when he received the ball from Sergio Rivera, was in the base path, but it didn't result in an out, so it's not like the call could be obstruction. So
and the
you've
runner
got me.
And the runner on base, Rodney Hibbler, went to third. Do you think they'd advance him?
I don't see how you could. Oh, maybe they're checking to see if he didn't tag the base if he left early.
Okay. All right. Well, until then, I've got some ad copy for you. Nike is the official outfitter of the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. Gear up on the newest BCU Nike gear at nike.com/Bethune-Cookman Wildcats. And make sure you are representing Bethune-Cookman University Athletics to the fullest. Buy the latest BCU gear online at the Bethune-Cookman online store. Go to bcuathletics.com and click on shop to find the newest BCU clothing and apparel. That's bcuathletics.com and click on shop. And he's safe. They reviewed it and he's fine.
And I figured it would be more so with anything is I don't think you'd find a camera angle that would have both the catch, and then they tried to pull it up on the SWAC broadcast. The actually third base official was in the way of the catch out in right field, so you couldn't see the ball in the glove and the foot off the bag at the same time. So it's just going to have to stand. I think maybe Coach Hernandez there just trying to kind of push a button and give the team a chance.
First pitch, a strike to Miles White. Fastball at the knees. White grounded out to first his first time up, walked and scored in the third, singled and was run out in a fielder's choice in the fifth. He's got Hibbler on third with 2 outs, 2 already in the sixth. Fastball outside, ball 1. Stay up to date with everything Bethune-Cookman Athletics by checking out the Wildcats on social media. Give BCU Athletics a like on Facebook and follow the Wildcats on Twitter and Instagram at BCU_athletics. The 1-1 hit him in the leg. And you can see Dylan Vega visibly upset with himself as he allows another free base runner for Jackson State, and the inning will continue, and Robert Tate Jr. is going to step to the plate.
Doing yourself any favors when you're hitting guys. Jackson State has only walked 3 times, but a couple hit by pitches, and you couple that with so many base hits is where the damage has been done.
11 hits for Jackson State, 7 runs. Yes, they have the 1 error, but it didn't result in a BCU run. Swing and a miss. First pitch fastball low in the zone on Robert Tate Jr. Tate flied out to right in the second, walked and scored in the third on a double steal, and then reached on a fielder's choice in the fifth. Runners on the corners, 2 down for Jackson State top 6. Vega deals. Off the end of the bat, foul first base side, and it's 0-2. Wildcats have not had a strikeout since the 4th inning. And that was Dudonis sitting down Rodney Hibbler Jr. in only his 2nd inning of work. Big arm swing from Vega. Up in this count 0-2. Here's the pitch. Upstairs trying to get a swing, 1-2. One, two down. Pitch. Spike to the plate. The runner goes to second. So White is on second. No throw down there. So now second and third with 2 down. The count is 2-2.
Not going to risk the opportunity for the double steal there. Wildcats wisely just let the runner take second. Well, it may not look as wise if a base hit chases both of them in.
The 2-2. He got him on the back. The second hit by pitch from Vega. Loads the bases with 2 outs. And here's a man in Joseph Eichelberger who has 3 base hits, 2 runs scored, and 2 RBI already in the game.
And now that BCU bullpen's going to start to hustle up a little bit. Nobody was up and warming yet, but that's going to change now. Another bases loaded opportunity for Jackson State.
Pitching coach Joel Sanchez is going to come out and probably just give time for the Wildcat arm. Looks like Joel Corey down there to warm up. Or maybe that's Sebastian Garrido. Can't really tell. But now if you're Bethune-Cookman, you got to worry about conserving arms for tomorrow and a potential doubleheader.
Which is a really tough spot to be in because you want to approach every game like the Wildcats have early in this game, yanking Marcos Gamboa early when they saw everything start to kind of unravel. You don't want to afford too much patience when you have games left to play, and now you don't really have the luxury to be able to do that. You've got to start thinking about tomorrow morning and tomorrow night and all those what-if opportunities. You hope your bats can put a charge into some balls and make things close enough that maybe you can start to get back to that nail-biting strategy of picking and choosing who you want and not trying to work guys longer than they are capable of going on the mound. But now you do start to have to think about conserving a little bit. So we'll see what the rest of the approach out of the bullpen is for Jonathan Hernandez.
Well, this is the best chance Jackson State has had to break this one wide open. They've got a 7-4 lead. The bases loaded, 2 outs, and Eichelberger, who has 3 hits in the game, in the batter's box. First pitch, low, ball 1. You know who's watching this right now and licking their lips is Texas Southern. 1-0. check swing, no swing, inside ball 2. Because after yesterday, I don't think anybody would have wanted to play the Wildcats. They're sitting here and watching Jackson State put all this pressure on his at bat after at bat after at bat and going, there's a blueprint. They are the gods can bleed. Here's the 2-0 from Vega. Soft ground ball towards short. Cordova has it go his chest, and everybody's safe.
Really unfortunate break for Bethune-Cookman. Ball jumps up off of the clay, off of the dirt infield, and knocks Cordova's hat off. Jumps up a little higher than I think he was expecting. Did not have the glove in front of it, and it bounces off over towards the first base side of second. Just giving Jackson State another chance to do even more damage here with already one more run in.
8-4 now as Hibbler scores from third. White goes to third. Tate to second. Eichelberger to first. Still waiting to see if they'll call that a hit or an error. First pitch, a fastball outside corner, strike 1 to Arjun Huerta. They do give it a single on the infield. Huerta, another one with 2 base hits today. Also a ground out to first base. Huerta watches one strike outside corner, and now he's talking to the umpire. Huerta didn't like the spot. But the home plate umpire, Hill, has given that outside corner to both teams. 0-2 now for Vega. He tries to get Huerta swinging and just misses outside with a fastball. Just pump that one as hard as he could throw it. Bases still loaded. Wildcats back down by 4. A 3-run inning so far for Jackson State. Vega deals, swinging a soft ground ball towards the first base side. Sufrain fields. He will. Miscommunication on the infield. Sufrain went to the bag looking for the flip. Vega tried to take it himself, and it's another run for Jackson State, 9-4.
Well, actually, it was the opposite. Vega ran over to try to cover the bag. Manny Sufrain was the one who ended up fielding it, tried to take it to the plate himself. Vega was there for the flip, and the flip wasn't made. I think Manny Sufrain thought he might have had a little bit more time, but Huerta rushes down so quickly that he's already to the bag by the time the communication is there to be made. So just a tough break, gets tougher and tougher for the Wildcats. Kind of the opposite of what we saw yesterday. You know, everything coming up BCU in the field, at the plate, on the mound, and now it seems like they can't catch a break.
And the Jackson State Tigers have batted around Sebastian Cabeza, who led off the inning with a hit by pitch, is going to be back in the batter's box. So Cabeza led off with a hit by pitch. Shamar Harris singled. Robert Hibbler Jr. singled Cabeza home. Then McClatty sack bunted to move them to second and third. Lenny Montesano got Hibbler home with an RBI sack fly to right field. Then White was hit by a pitch. Tate was hit by a pitch. Eichelberger singled on the infield to the shortstop, and Huerta singled on the infield to first base.
It's just a really tough decision from Manny Sufrain, who's been really outstanding defensively for the Wildcats at that spot all year round. Huerta was only about 3 steps away from the bag when he grabbed the ball, when he was able to field the ball in front of the bag.
Cabeza on the ground, off the glove of Fabo, and everybody's safe again. It ricocheted all the way to the shortstop Cordova, and the cycle continues. The Wildcats cannot catch a break. 3 straight infield hits.
Yeah, Cordova had the option to think about going over to first base, with maybe not the fastest base runner over there, but just a step behind it and everything, wheels starting to fall off for Bethune-Cookman.
It is 10-4 Jackson State. Tate Jr. scores from third. Eichelberger goes to third. Huerta to second, and Cabeza on first. The batter is now Shamar Harris, who singled earlier in this inning to right field, just poked it through that first baseman, second baseman gap. One-0 the count. The pitch is a fastball right down the middle, 1-1. And we went from a game where the Wildcats were trying to get back into it. We're down by 1. We're thinking there's one swing of the bat, get you back into this one. Now you're maybe looking at a run rule on the other end of it. That one's poked foul, first base side off the end of the bat. Count 1-1.
They've just allowed the base runners, they've allowed that constant pressure to continue to build. And eventually when there's pressure building, it's going to have to break. And We're looking at a big break right here in the 6th.
5 already in. 4 of them with 2 outs. Fouled away first base side 1 and 2 to Cabeza. Again, the Wildcats can't get off the field with 2 outs, and this may be the biggest spot where that has come back to haunt them all season. Vega deals the 1-2. Off the end of the bat, softly hit in the air to shortstop. Cordova will finally make the play, but the Tigers get 5 runs on 5 hits and leave the bases loaded. We go to the bottom of the 6th, and the Wildcats may just be done in this one. It's 10-4, Jackson State. As we head to the bottom of the 6th, the Wildcats down 10-4 to Jackson State in this game. And Bryce, I was thinking in the intervening time between the innings that the last 2 days have really kind of been indicative of this season for Wildcat baseball. The highest of highs, and then they come out and just kind of lay an egg sometimes, and there's no real rhyme or reason to why it happens. Just hasn't been consistent for the Wildcats this year.
Well, you've got 9 outs to work with. It's not quite over yet. This Wildcats team at the plate showed yesterday how potent of an offense they can be. Isaiah Williams has had a long sit down, so your best hope at this point is maybe he's not quite ready to go. You put a couple of base runners on early, and you play it by ear from there.
First batter is Manny Sufrain. He watches a fastball outside, ball 1. Sufrain 0 for 2, popped up on the infield to the first baseman in the 2nd, then flied out to right in the 3rd. Sufrain hasn't really had a good tournament. Slider strike at the knees, 1-1. Even yesterday against Prairie View, he walked twice. And he swings and misses at a fastball low, 1-2.
Getting behind in counts is what's killed the Wildcats early. They've either come up swinging early or the opposition has been able to put it in the zone.
Sufrain up the middle, slow ground ball. The shortstop dropped it from his knees, throws it over there, not in time. That was Tate who crossed all the way across the second base bag to make the play, and he just completely mishandled it. The Wildcats have a runner on. They're going to give it a single to Sufrain. Again, I'm not really sure I agree with that.
I think you absolutely have to call that one a single. Really, really tough play. Slow roller, long run. Guys hustling down his way to first base. Not a textbook base hit, but a base hit.
First pitch to Jorge Rodriguez is inside, ball 1. Jorge on the game, flied out to left in the 1st, then walked and was caught in the middle of a double play in the 4th. And a little excuse me swing right back to the pitcher. Williams will run all the way to first himself and step on the bag for out number 1.
A little bit of tunnel vision there from Isaiah Williams. Wildcats fortunate they didn't see 2 runners go down with 1 half swing of the bat right there. You want to try to do whatever you can to move a runner across. If this were a couple innings ago, you might have liked to have a runner on second with 1 out, but now you've got too much ground to make up. You're going to have to string together hits.
And now here's Gonzalez Fabo, hit by a pitch and scored in the 2nd, and then grounded into that 5-4-3 double play, which really killed the Wildcats' momentum in the 4th. And they never really recovered. They were down 1 with a runner on and nobody out, and after that double play, it's never really been the same. Count is 1-0 after the fastball missed low. Williams already in the windup for pitch number 2, and it's an off-speed pitch that runs it on the hands, called strike. As the Wildcats staring down the barrel of another early morning tomorrow morning, a 9 a.m. first pitch against Texas Southern if this result holds. The count is 3-0, says the scoreboard. I think the count's 2-1. Yeah, it counts 2-1 to Fabo. Here's the pitch. Outside, now it's 3-1.
We did talk about coming into this game before any of this is unfolded that wouldn't be shocked if the loser of this game comes right on back to face this team again, regardless.
Fabo, soft roller towards second and on to first for out number 2. White, the second baseman, looked to second like he wanted to go there for a double play, realized there's nobody on this side of the infield, and then just tossed it across.
Another quick start. A bit of a longer at bat there from Fabo, able to work 5 or so pitches, but when you're not able to put guys on, when you're not taking walks, when you're not getting hit, most importantly, when you're not getting hits, it's hard to work too many pitches.
Ramses Cordova watches one in the dirt. Cordova 2 for 2, a home run in the second and a single up the middle in the fourth. That was right after the double play. And he rounds his one to third, right into the glove of Harris, who makes the play in time to end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, 1 left. We go to the 7th. It's 10-4 Jackson State here on the CatEye Network. New pitcher for Bethune-Cookman as we go to the top of the 7th. It's 10-4 Jackson State over the Wildcats. Sebastian Garrido, the junior from Miami, transfer from Barry University at the Division II level, will make his 6th appearance of the year for the Maroon and Gold. Rodney Hibbler Jr. will stand in. Hibbler struck out twice, has singled twice, was caught stealing in the 3rd, and scored in the 6th. And the first pitch from the lefty Garrido, the side armor is just high, missed at the letters. Garrido on the season at 4.32 ERA, 8 1/3 innings pitched. 8 runs on 9 hits, as that one's low, 2-0. 4 earned, striking out 4, walking 5, has allowed a double, 2 homers, has hit 1 and 1 wild pitch. He has been credited with a save on the season, as that was in the 19-16 win against Maine all the way back in the first week of March. He went 4 innings, gave up 5 runs on 3 hits, but still credited with the save in that wild game that may be the craziest game of the season.
Did finish the season last good 3 starts at UCF, Mississippi Valley State, Stetson didn't allow an earned run, just 1 unearned run against UCF, and just 2 hits through those 3 games.
He's behind 3-1 against Hibbler, and he got a check swing and a miss, and it's 3-2. Ran the fastball in on the hands to Hibbler. Hibbler, the senior from Independence, Mississippi, and a transfer from Delta State. And he watches ball 4 downstairs, and here we go again.
Leadoff base runners
Right fielder.
does a ton for you in a tournament like this with the caliber of teams that are in it. Again, if nothing else, you're just working the pitch count. You're getting further and further into a team's bullpen. And for Jackson State, you can really try to dig deep into these BCU arms and try to wear them out in case you'll have to see them again tomorrow.
They throw to first. The ball gets away from Manny Sufrain and a free base for Rodney Hibbler Jr. And we knew that was coming eventually.
Yep, throw over, throw over, throw over, and somebody's going to end up plunking one in the dirt or airmailing something. It's just kind of you get what you pay for. It worked out a couple of times for the Wildcats, stealing a couple of outs in this game, but it's a dangerous game to play.
Jordan McClatty is in the batter's box. 1 hit today for McClatty all the way back in the first. He squares to bunt, puts it down back to the mound. Garrido goes to first in time. That's his second sacrifice bunt of the game, McClatty. And moves Hibbler to third with 1 down. Jordan's from around here, an Augusta, Georgia native. His family's sitting about 5-6 rows in front of our broadcast position.
A lot of Georgia kids for this Jackson State team. A lot of JSU fans. Just a couple-hour drive for them down here.
Here's Lenny Montesano, 0 for 4, but not for lack of trying. 4 flyouts to the outfield. He did get 1 for an RBI back in the 6th. He fouls the first one straight back to the screen, 0-1. Wildcats probably now trying to conserve some of their better arms for what's looking more and more likely to be a doubleheader tomorrow. As the ball gets away, it's a wild pitch, but the ball ricochets off of the brick wall behind the plate and right back to Rodriguez, so the runner stays at third.
And we're not used to that at Jackie Robinson Ballpark. That would have been a run every time, 100 times out of 100 with the gargantuan backstop back there in Daytona Beach. Fortunate here, that brick wall kicks it right back to the catcher.
The count just 1-1 on Montesano. 1 down with Hibbler at third. Breaking ball has Rodriguez scrambling into the opposite batter's box to keep that one from going to the backstop, and it's 2-1. Breaking ball outside 3-1. And while the Wildcats did win the season series against Jackson State in the regular season, none of them were easy wins. A 6-2 win back on April 5th, the first meeting of the season, was maybe your most comfortable. As here's the 3-1 from Garrido to Montesano. There's a strike. Breaking ball outside corner, 3-2. Then a 6-5 walk-off win, and then a 19-5 loss where Jackson State just come out and pummeled the ball. Then in Jackson, they won 9-5 in a close one on Friday. Lost 5-0. The Bats really didn't get going on Saturday, and then had the Sunday game rained out. Count is full on Montesano, the pitch. Golfed sky high, left center field, going back towards that short porch and on the track. Figueroa makes the catch, but trotting in from third is Hibbler. He will score, and it is 11-4.
A lot of Jackson State's runs haven't, like the Wildcats, come off the long ball. They haven't necessarily always come off of base hits. They're on bases loaded walks or on sacrifice flies or on bunting a guy over or a wild pitch getting a guy over a couple of extra bases. And it's just kind of piled up. I mean, don't let the 5-run inning fool you. They've been putting pressure on all day.
First pitch, a ball low and outside to Miles White. 2 outs, nobody on, 1 in the inning. White grounded to first unassisted his first time up, walked and scored in the third as he fouls one away, 1-1. Reached on a bunt single in the 5th, but then was caught out on a fielder's choice. Then was hit by a pitch and scored in the 6th. 1-1. Slider catches the inside part of the plate. That was the best pitch Garrido's thrown so far. Started almost behind the left-handed hitting White and ended in the strike zone. Now Garrido ahead 1-2. And it's a soft ground ball towards short. Cordova fields and fires in time to end the inning. 1 run, no hits, nobody left. And we go to the bottom of the 7th. It's another run for Jackson State. They lead it 11-4 here on the CatEye Network. We've had the 7th inning stretch here at McNeese Baseball Park at Rush Chandler Stadium. Wildcats down 11-4 in this upper bracket round 2 contest. Wildcats do have that lower bracket to fall down on. The season is not over with a loss now, but they do go to play Texas Southern tomorrow, barring something miraculous here in the last 3 innings. First pitch to Colton Olison, a ball outside from Isaiah Williams, who has cruised since he has come into the game. He's only given up 2 hits, scattered 1 in the 4th, 1 in the 6th, 1 walk. Just been very clinical. Here's the 1-1 to Olison, spiked, and it's 2-1. Only 43 pitches now for Williams. And this starting his 4th inning. Inside to Olison, he jumps back, 3 balls and 1 strike.
Well, if Coach Hernandez is going to tell us pregame that you want to play 1 inning at a time, 1 game at a time, it needs to be 1 pitch at a time for these Wildcats at this point.
3-1, grooved it right now in the middle, and the count runs full on Colton.
Even right here, you're looking at a big swing for Colton Olison to be able to get on base with a walk or hit versus an out.
Well, there's a walk. Missed it well low and inside, and the Wildcats have a runner on with nobody out. First reach of base for Colton Olison today. He had flown out to left field twice. And now we're back to the top of the order for Daniel Figueroa. Figgy 0 for 3. 3 ground outs to the infield, 1 to second, 2 to third. Wouldn't be surprised to see a bunt here, though, just to try and keep the momentum going, but he will watch ball 1 low.
You know, we haven't really gotten to see the Wildcats utilize much small ball in this tournament. No double steals, not a whole lot of stolen bases. Haven't had to yesterday, haven't had the chance to today.
Up and in, 2-0 to Figueroa. Now, in the off chance, you do chase Williams in the next out or 2, as the pitching coach is going to come out to talk to Williams, who's walked Olison and then thrown 2 straight balls to Figueroa to start this inning. Maybe you start to think what could happen if you could string something together, but you got to do what the Wildcats have not done at all today, which is hit line drives. I don't think we have a line drive even for an out at any point in this ball game. Everything's been either fly balls or soft ground balls on the infield.
Yep, and it's credit to Jackson State for keeping the Wildcats off balance really all day. Started off maybe a couple of generous strike calls here and there, got in the heads of Bethune-Cookman. Certainly started off this game really aggressive, and that was part of maybe the concern coming into today, is you swing the bat so freely yesterday, and it's looks so easy that you come into today with a similar approach that you just can't afford. And now you start thinking, well, is this reminiscent of that Alabama A&M series where you used up all your runs yesterday, for lack of a better term, and now as you start to shift your focus a little bit towards the what ifs in the losers bracket, are the bats going to be able to come back and put things together again tomorrow?
Pitching coach Justin Thomas just gave a visit to Isaiah Williams. His first pitch after that is a breaking ball low, 3-0. Justin Thomas in his second season as the pitching coach at JSU, the former head coach at Division III's Bethany College in West Virginia. Way outside, a 4-pitch walk. So this is the first time in the ball game the Wildcats have had 2 runners on the base paths at once.
And now you just kind of have to avoid disaster here. A double play would be killer. A pop-up would be killer. A strikeout is killer. But anything else, if you're starting to put the ball into play a little bit, a fly ball may not be the worst. You got to look competent at the plate. You got to move guys around. It's going to take a couple of runs before you fully feel like you're into this game.
The batter is Garrett Chun. The first pitch is a slider strike to the inside corner of the lefty. Chun walked in the first and then grounded out in the third and fifth, both to the right-hand side of the infield. He'll watch one outside, fastball 1-1.
Some activity finally in the Jackson State bullpen as Williams' control has started to wane here a little bit.
C.J. Lewis is up and throwing for the Tigers. Senior from Bloomington, Illinois, and the transfer from Toledo. Now, if Williams can just stabilize here, I don't even think they need Lewis to come in the game, and they'll save his arm for tomorrow. Here's the 1-1. Swinging a grounder towards the first base side. Backhanded by the first baseman. On to second for just one. That's a nice defensive play by Lenny Montesano. Reached across his body, backhanded it, and then flipped to second. So Olison goes to third. Figueroa out.
Number 19.
3-4. And Garrett Chun on with a fielder's choice. So runners on the corners, 1 down for Sergio Rivera. Rivera has struck out in the first and then walked twice. Scored on the Gonzalez home run in the third and was stranded on first in the fifth. Now 1 out in the inning is a spin and a throwback to first from Isaiah Williams. So much easier with the left-handed pitcher on the mound to keep the first base runners under containment. Now he comes home to Rivera, who watches a strike outside corner, 0-1. Unless something miraculous happens, it'll be an early start for us here on the CatEye Network tomorrow. Ground ball through the left side. That's going to be a base hit. The Wildcats are on the board for the first time since the third inning, as coming in from third to score is Olison. It's an RBI single for Rivera, and it is 11-5.
And that's the first base hit of the day for any of the top 3 in this Bethune-Cookman lineup. We talk about how you need heroes to kind of come out and emerge throughout this tournament, and guys who might not otherwise be there for you day to day to step up. Well, you got to have the big guys at the top of the lineup come through and finally starting to see some cracks.
Now 2 on, 1 out for Jose Gonzalez. First pitch, a fastball outside, ball 1. The defense for Jackson State was playing shift, and there was a big wide open hole to the left-hand side, and that was a slow roller, but nobody was there to field it. 1-0 from Williams. Swing and a miss. The slider fanned on by Gonzalez. Gonzalez 1 for 3. Flied out to right in the first, 2-run home run in the third, and struck out in the fifth. And Isaiah deals and hit him on the elbow. Right on that protector guard, and the bases are loaded. And here comes Manny Sufrain, and also here comes Omar Johnson. I don't think he's going to take Williams out. I think he's just talking to the home plate umpire about maybe if that hit Gonzalez, or maybe he was leaning in. The Wildcats did get warned about leaning in and taking contact on the arms yesterday, but nothing's going to come of it. And Sufrain's going to bat with 1 down and the bases loaded.
If I remember correctly, I think Jackson State was also warned yesterday about leaning in. So it's something that these umpires, these officiating crews have had to deal with a little bit this week. Not going to be rewarded with any change in the call, but Johnson's certainly going to argue his side.
Williams steps off, uses a disengagement, and now Sufrain with Chun on third, Rivera on second, and Gonzalez on first. First pitch to the lefty hitter is upstairs by the faceplate, ball 1.
And whereas Isaiah Williams wasn't missing by much when his balls were outside of the zone earlier, now they're easy takes for the Wildcats.
Maybe we will need to see C.J. Lewis for the Jackson State bullpen. 1-0. High pop, third base side, foul territory, out of play. A couple of the Wildcat fans down there behind the dugout trying to spot that ball as it passes through the arc of the sun and not get hit by it. Thankfully, everybody unscathed down there. The count is 1-1 on Manny Sufrain as Coach Derek Cartaya, the hitting coach for the Wildcats, takes a timeout to talk to his power hitter.
And, he does have the base hit today, but one of the guys that hasn't really looked like himself at the plate to start this tournament. And that's something the Wildcats desperately need. I mean, Manny Sufrain, a guy who's walked a lot, hasn't walked today, hasn't really been in many positions to take walks, a lot of early count swings, a lot of pop-ups, a lot of weak foul balls. Did get the base hit via that interesting little grounder play earlier in this game, but they need that big lefty to come alive, especially with that fence out there and right.
He did hit a big bomb last year in this building against Florida A&M in the finals, and unfortunately didn't spark a Wildcat comeback. Can he get a hold of one now? The count is 1-1. Here's the pitch. Swinging a foul, soft dribbler, first base side, and now Sufrain down 1-2. Still just one down in the inning. Jorge Rodriguez, the catcher, waiting on deck. Jackson State fans trying to rally their pitching and defense to keep this VCU team at arm's length down 11-5. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Check swing. He said he fouled it off? Anyway, it's strike 3. And that's what Coach Hernandez at third base is arguing. The home plate umpire signaled foul tip, and the bat was nowhere near that ball.
Well, regardless, the Wildcats are finally going to see the end of Isaiah Williams.
But now, bases loaded, 2 outs, and Jorge Rodriguez, who's 0 for 2 with a walk, is going to come up a much different look than 1 out and your best hitter at the plate. And I don't understand that call from home plate umpire Calvin Hill. It may have been a strike, but he signaled foul tip into the glove on a check swing that was nowhere near the ball.
Not a whole lot of defending it for me either. Definitely a bit strange. We saw Omar Johnson have a few words for the home plate official when he walked out to the mound. Just a bit strange. Haven't seen anything like that before.
Well, the new Jackson State pitcher will be the senior from Bloomington, Illinois, C.J. Lewis, a transfer from Toledo. He has gotten a lot of work in this year out of the bullpen, Lewis, including 2 against Bethune-Cookman. Correction, 3 against Bethune-Cookman, 2 in Daytona Beach, 1 in Mississippi. On the season, Lewis has a 3.45 ERA. He's got their best ERA out of the bullpen of a name that is not Christian Womble, who, of course, threw last night. 28 2/3 innings pitched, a 3.45 ERA for Lewis. He's given up 13 runs on 20 hits, 11 earned, striking out 27, walking 16. He's allowed 4 doubles, no triples, 1 homer, 3 wild pitches, 3 hit by pitches. And so the Wildcats will once again have to see one of Jackson State's top arms here in a big spot. Bases loaded for Bethune-Cookman. Chun on third, Rivera on second, Gonzalez on first, with 2 down, and Jorge Rodriguez coming to the plate after this Sufrain strikeout. The Wildcats have scored in this inning already, with Colton Olison walking to begin the inning, then coming in on the single by Sergio Rivera.
And I do give credit to Omar Johnson here for being aggressive game. You can afford to go to your bigger arms and throw C.J. Lewis out there. He was one that the Wildcats saw in back-to-back games in Daytona Beach earlier, so he can give you not just extended innings, but he can pitch on very little rest.
First pitch to Rodriguez from the side armor C.J. Lewis is a curveball that misses in the dirt, ball 1. Bases full of Wildcats. This is the first inning where the Wildcats have had more than 1 runner on base in the game. They trail 11-5 here in the bottom of the 7th. Lewis deals, called strike, low and outside. And that's tough for the right-handed hitters. That outside corner has been given very generously by Calvin Hill Jr. behind the plate. Here's the 1-1 from CJ, and he sinks one in the dirt as well. Again, 2-1. And if you're Jorge Rodriguez, your walk is as good as a hit with the bases juiced.
Especially with so much ground to make up to get back into this ballgame.
2-1. Upstairs, 3-1. That time Lewis misses with the fastball.
They probably won't see a green light here. I wouldn't imagine anybody on this roster would get a green light again, like you say. A lot of ground to make up, and it's just as good as a base hit.
3 balls, 1 strike. The pitch spiked to the plate. The ball gets away. It doesn't matter because everybody's going to move up 90 feet. So Chun walks in from third. Rivera goes to third. Gonzalez on to second, and Rodriguez there with a walk. The Wildcats are on the board again in this inning, and it's 11-6.
Chip, chip, chip away. You got to slowly get back into this. We don't anticipate the Wildcats taking this all back in one inning. If you can get to within 2, 3, anything to where you could potentially bring a tying or go-ahead run in over the next 2 innings, or at the very least in the bottom of that ninth, the Wildcats have had a little bit of flair from the dramatic throughout this year. A good handful of walk-off wins, including the one against Jackson State.
And a big spot for the freshman left-handed hitter Michael Rodriguez as he pinch hits for Jorge Gonzalez Fabo. First pitch to him, ball low. Rodriguez this season has been used very sparingly. The freshman from Pembroke Pines down in South Florida. 1-0. Inside, missed with the fastball, 2-0.
Definitely an interesting call here, too, to pinch hit for Gonzalez Fabo, who's been swinging a pretty good bat throughout this tournament. I think ultimately with freshman on freshman switch, I think you probably just like the lefty here against CJ Lewis, and Michael Rodriguez has been decent at times in that pinch hitter role for the Wildcats.
I do want to cast your mind back to the game at Florida State. One of his only 3 starts of the year. He did have a run on 2 hits in that game. And that was the only game where he has scored, and his only multi-hit game as well. His last hit came against Alabama A&M in that Wildcat home series on the 26th of April.
So again, I think more than anything, that's probably that they just like the lefty bat against CJ Lewis. A little bit easier to see the ball out of the hand, to track it from that lefty batter's box.
His biggest moment of the season that I can remember that wasn't at Florida State was actually in the Mississippi Valley game, the game that was 17-6. He hit one of the hardest balls I think I've ever seen hit out of Jackie Robinson Ballpark. Unfortunately, it was foul down the first base line. That went to the parking lot of the courthouse building. It was hit so far. So he's got some pop in the bat if he can time one up. The count is 2 balls and no strikes from CJ Lewis. Here's the pitch. He's grooving one down the middle for strike 1. What little wind there is blowing out to dead center. Base is full of Wildcats, 2 down. Rodriguez check swing. Did he go? No. And the count is 3 balls and a strike as that one missed outside.
Another one. Just keep the bat on your shoulders.
3 balls and a strike. The pitch from CJ. There's a strike right down the middle, and now you got to go to work. 3-2, 2 outs, bases loaded. Nobody throwing to the Jackson State pen. They're relying on Lewis to get out of this. Here's the pitch. Rodriguez swings and bounces it to first, right into the glove of Montesano, and the inning is over. 2 runs, 1 hit, bases left, loaded, and we go to the 8th inning of play. 11-6 Tigers here on the CatEye Network. Defensive changes for Bethune-Cookman as Sebastian Garrido begins his second inning of work on the mound. Ramses Cordova moves from shortstop to third. Jamie Villafane will play the third base position. As Jorge Gonzalez Fabo is out, Michael Rodriguez will not be used for his defense. First pitch from Garrido is a breaking ball, strike to Tate. Tate's been walked twice. He's scored both of those times. Fielder's choice in the fifth, fly out in the second. The 4 trips to the plate for the shortstop for Jackson State today. There's a fastball in on the hands for a strike. So Garrido ahead 0-2. Garrido gave up 1 run in his first inning unearned off a walk, an error, a bunt, and an RBI. Pitch outside, 1-2 now on Tate. Long look in from Sebastian Garrido. He deals inside 2-2. The 2 teams that are set to play next, the upper bracket game in Group B, the 2-2 from Garrido, hit on the ground towards short. Villafane, sliding stop. Long throw across the diamond, and it's over the head of Soufrain and out of play, so it'll be an extra base for Tate Jr. He'll get to second on a 2-base error.
And it's just kind of been that kind of afternoon for the Wildcats.
The designated hitter, number
Haven't been
1.
able to get those kind of breaks when they've been at the plate, and Jackson State, it's just kind of what you get when you continue to put the bat on the ball.
Here's the Lithonia, Georgia native Joseph Eichelberger. He's 4 for 4 with 4 singles, 2 runs scored, and 4 RBI. And he's got Tate on second with nobody out. First pitch, a sinker, outside ball 1 from Garrido. They're going to give it a single and an error to Robert Tate. He's on second regardless. Garrido deals, popped sky high, but foul first base side by Eichelberger. And the count is 1-1. Florida A&M and Grambling State coming up later tonight, as we have now approached and are about to surpass their scheduled start time of 6:30. Grafted softly to third. Cordova will field and fire across, out number 1 in the inning. Nice job by Ramses as well to look Tate Jr. back at second so nobody advances.
We had some question marks about that side of the infield for the Wildcats heading into this series. Just defensively hasn't always been quite as stout as elsewhere on the field, but they have been solid over there. Ramses Cordova, chief among them, with the outstanding defensive plays yesterday.
Arjun Huerta stands in now. Runner on second, 1 down. 3 singles for Huerta today and a ground out to first base. And he fouls one away left-hand side. That single in the 6th came with 2 outs and the bases loaded. And it was just a soft ground ball to Manny Soufrain at first. And he didn't take the option to flip it to the pitcher covering, tried to take it himself, and Huerta beat it out. That allowed that inning to continue, and now Huerta gets plunked on the shoulder by Garrido, and there's 2 on, 1 away. Well, when it rains, it pours for the Maroon and Gold this afternoon.
Just the 3 shutdown innings for Bethune-Cookman, and we knew Jackson State would put the pressure on, and it was always a question of how well could we withstand it, and it's really been when there's been multiple base runners like this. Though you've seen the Wildcats, frankly, have not been able to withstand it. When they've worked clean all the way through, especially, a couple of clean ones for Dudones there, it's been okay. But when Jackson State has started to threaten, when there's been those opportunities, those mistakes defensively, or just a few bad breaks, they have proved to be a little too much for the BCU defense today.
That'll be the end for Sebastian Garrido. He goes an inning and a third, gives up 1 run, and is responsible for the 2 on the base paths currently. Can you tell who the new pitcher is?
Yeah, it is Jeffrey Gonzalez. Is going to get out there now. Hasn't seen a ton of action as of late this year.
Jeffrey Gonzalez is the junior from Port St. Lucie, transfer from Indian River State. And he will now have the unenviable position to try and just see this one out to its conclusion. Wildcats here in the top of the eighth just need 6 more outs.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Hasn't appeared since the midweek game against Stetson back on May 7th. Been kind of in and out of the good graces of this bullpen. Started off with, innings here or there early on in the season, but as we went on throughout the year, used more and more sparingly, used more and more in kind of just mop-up duty, has Gonzalez. But it's not an enviable spot to be in, but I wouldn't also take for granted the job that you can do if you're a guy like Gonzalez, even saving one, potentially a couple of arms heading into what we hope is a run back through the losers bracket to the championship game like the Wildcats last year. Any job you can do, even in an opportunity like this, to give guys breathers, to let some of your top arms stay seated and wait for their opportunity in a closer game later this week. Still very much a job to be done on the mound.
Jeffrey Gonzalez is finished warming up. He'll face Sebastian Cabeza with Robert Tate Jr. on second and Arjun Huerta on first, with 1 away here in the top of the eighth. The score is Jackson State 11, Bethune-Cookman 6. Breaking ball, strike 1, first pitch from Gonzalez. But it's looking like an early morning tomorrow, Bryce. It's something we as the staff wanted kind of to avoid. It's going to be harder on the team. Got to get up at 5:45. According to Coach Hernandez, if he keeps the same schedule he did the first game of the tournament, ball low in the dirt, 1-1.
And one of the things we talked about after the win yesterday is, well, with the quick turnaround to a morning game, you don't have a lot of time to sit in your own thoughts. And I wonder if today, with the longer turnaround, if the Wildcats were maybe just kind of in their own heads a little bit.
Gonzalez misses outside, 2 balls and a strike to Cabeza.
I don't necessarily mean that in a bad way, but just thinking a little too much about what happened yesterday, feeling yourself a little bit, and so you're not quite as locked in when you don't have the turnaround time that you did today.
Sky-high pop, foul territory, third base side, towards the dugout and over the dugout, actually into the dugout, out of the reach of Cordova, who stretched in to try and make the play. Just a long strike, and it's 2-2 on Cabeza. But again, we get Texas Southern tomorrow, who has sat back and watched this game after getting pounded by Jackson State on day 1, beating Prairie View in the 9 a.m. game this morning. The 2-2 now. Gonzalez gets the swing and a foul ball away from Cabeza, so we'll do the 2-2 again. And I don't know, maybe an advantage for the Tigers of Texas Southern, who's now going to play 3 9 a.m. games in a row, and maybe you're kind of used to that rhythm, whereas the Wildcats have played 9-3-9. We didn't even start till almost 4 o'clock this afternoon. Here's the 2-2 once again, Gonzalez to Cabeza. Swing and a miss. Got him. Throw back to first. Back in safely is Arjun Huerta. Wildcats get a strikeout, and there's 2 away.
And, as much as we malign the west side of the SWAC, teams like Texas Southern, Prairie View Southern, Texas Southern was the 1 seed. They won a lot of games. And while the competition may not be as stiff as it is in the East or in the midweek for these Wildcats, they're a team the BCU can't take for granted, and with that means not taking the rest of this game for granted.
It's the 9-hole hitter, Shamar Harris. First pitch, a breaking ball, strike outside corner. Shamar reached on a fielder's choice and was picked off of first in the second, then fly to right in the fourth, singled and scored in the sixth, and popped out on the infield to the shortstop. Also in the sixth, as the Tigers batted around in that inning. He pokes one foul to the third base side, and he's behind 0-2. Jeffrey Gonzalez potentially one pitch away from getting out of this inning with no damage. Wildcats trail 11-6. Only 5 hits for Bethune-Cookman on the day. As Jeffrey winds and fires righty to righty. Pop fly, foul ball, out of play. Off the bat, that looked like it was going to go straight up and land somewhere in the infield, but it just kept carrying. And we'll do another 0-2 count. Harris, the freshman from Chicago, stares down the 0-2 pitch and swings and hits it on the ground to second. Olison to second for the fielder's choice to end the inning. No runs, 1 hit, and 1 left. And we go to the bottom of the 8th. Wildcats down 11-6 here on the CatEye Network.
CJ Lewis is back out there on the mound for Jackson State as Ramses Cordova will stand in here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. Cordova, Olison, and Figueroa are due up. First pitch to Cordova is outside, snuck inside for a strike. Wildcats still down 11-6. That ball is flared out into the gap in left center field. That ball is going to hang up just long enough for our Yun Huerta to make the play, and there is quickly 1 away. A quick inning, or a quick start, I should say, for the Wildcats at the plate. Maybe some of the harder contact we've seen for BCU in this game. Been few and far between, but that'll bring up, of course, the 9-hole hitter, Colton Olison. 0 for 2 today with a walk. He's put a charge in a couple of balls. He's hit the ball fairly hard this whole tournament out into left field particularly. He's going to get hit. For the second time today, Colton Olison is on via the hit by pitch, and the Wildcats will still have something to say with just 1 away. That'll bring up the top of the order. Daniel Figueroa, who's had a little bit of a rougher start to the SWAC tournament, including today where he's 0 for 3, did work a walk. Lewis hasn't really been as sharp as we saw him earlier in the season. He whips that one in there outside for a ball. As we welcome Mike back to the booth.
I appreciate you covering for me. There's a slider strike. So Figueroa on first, 1 down. Count 1-1. Wildcats a long way back in this one, 11-6. Here in the bottom of the 8th, CJ Lewis still on the hill.
And I think if you're Coach Hernandez in this inning, again, if you can put this somehow to within reach of putting the tying run on in the bottom of the 9th, you would take that. It's not ideal. Nothing about this game has been ideal, but that's where we're at.
Shallow fly ball to right. McClatty will squeeze it 2 away.
And again, it's kind of been a day full of a lot of outs like that. Weak fly balls, weak ground balls. We talk so much about hard contact, and about how much it can mean and indicate for the remainder of a game, and it's never really come outside of 2 big swings.
First pitch to Garrett Chun, fastball right down the middle. Chun, a run scored, a walk, reached on a fielder's choice in the 7th, and then 2 groundouts. Has been Hinch's contribution to the offense today. Swings and fouls it off of home plate to the right-hand side, and he's down 0-2. You thought maybe C.J. Lewis might be a little bit vulnerable after walking in a run last inning, but he has come out and looked pretty good here. Is that one way upstairs, just trying to get Chun to chase, 1-2. Went and sat in the dugout, settled down. One-two to Chun, runner goes outside, and they'll let Olesen have the stolen base over at second. So another one for the career of the senior Colton Olesen, up to 16 on the season.
It's a little shaken up out there. I don't know. Hopefully it wasn't anything on the slide. We know both hands now kind of banged up. Jammed his thumb yesterday. Broke a finger on his other hand. That'd be his left hand earlier in the season. So falling apart out there is the senior.
2-2 from Lewis is outside 3-2. He taps his chest. That's my bad. He missed his spot. Full count. Olesen on second. 2 outs. Bottom 8. The wind is now starting to whip pretty violently out towards left center. Chun, sky-high pop, first base side, foul territory, moving towards the wall. It is over the wall and onto the concourse, so Chun will see another pitch.
I wonder how quickly in tomorrow morning's game we'll see the Wildcats try to go with the steals, with the small ball, with the bunting guys over. I wonder how much of a desperation factor there is when, sure, you put 6 runs on the board today, but you've never really felt like you've been able to put anything together consistently.
Their only lead was 2-1 back at the bottom of the second.
So how quickly do you want to manufacture runs rather than rely on the bats?
Now it's a walk to Garrett Chun as Lewis misses outside. So there's 2 on with 2 out. The batter will be Sergio Rivera. Rivera in the game struck out in the first, walked and scored in the third, walked in the 5th, and singled and was stranded on third in the 7th, had the RBI that brought Garrett Chun in. So not a bad day at the plate for Rivera. 2 walks, an RBI, a single, a run scored. But again, the rest of the offense has just not been there for the Wildcats, at least not consistently.
It's been spotty. That's what gets you. You got to have some guys that back-to-back can put stuff together, not just a couple of guys with good days around the lineup.
Rivera now down to the count 0-2 as 2 straight sinkers find the zone from C.J. Lewis. And the clutch hitting that was there yesterday just has evaporated. The Wildcats have really got nothing done with 2 outs except those 2 home runs. Rivera, defensive swing, fights it off to the backstop 2-0. Oh, sorry, 0-2. Wildcats have taken 7 walks in this game. They have just 5 hits.
Not to mention a couple of hit-by pitches, but just haven't been consecutive. 2 scattered.
Runners go. Rivera in the air to center, charging Hibbler. He slides. He makes a fantastic catch. Everything coming up roses for the Jackson State Tigers. A sliding Superman grab by Hibbler in center. Robs 2 RBI at least from Sergio Rivera. And wait a minute. They're having everybody come back onto the field, and we may be talking about this. I'm not sure what's there to talk about.
Well, we're just now seeing it in live action for the SWAC broadcast. It looks in real time like he made the catch. I'm assuming the call on replay or the conversation is going to be that maybe it bounced.
It did not bounce.
It definitely
That's a
didn't
catch.
bounce. And it also definitely didn't come out of the glove or hit the ground after the catch was made. He did an excellent job of squeezing the glove once it was in the glove, so it did not touch the turf.
You know what did happen? Is his play sheet came off of his wrist, and it's white.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing that somebody in the umpiring crew saw that play sheet come off and thought it might have been the ball.
And I think this might have been an official uh, initiated review, at least based on what I think I just heard from the PA call. Even if it wasn't, if Coach Hernandez did call for the review, at this point in the game, why not? I mean, it's not, especially for him on the field without the broadcast in front of him to see it. You're not really hurting anything going to it. The likelihood of you really needing it for a make or break situation at the end of this game probably isn't super high. So if you just want to try to maybe steal one in the minuscule chance that it comes back the other way, so be it. But yeah, I think that one was pretty conclusive from what we saw on the broadcast.
Well, maybe Coach Hernandez did ask for a review because he's out there chirping at the umpires. I'm not sure why coaches do this. They aren't the ones looking at the review. The ones looking at the review are off the field in the umpire's booth looking at the monitor.
Yeah, last time we did this, we had an official posted by each coach. Both coach was chirping.
This is a quick review as they come back on the field and signal that it's a catch. So a little bit of a delayed gratification, but that is the end of the inning. No runs, no hits, 2 left for the Wildcats. We go to the ninth, and Bethune-Cookman down 11-6 here on the CatEye Network. Top 9 here in Atlanta at McNeese Baseball Park. This gorgeous cathedral to the game of baseball on the campus of Georgia Tech. Wildcats will be here at least one more day, but it's going to have to be a day where they win 2, unless they pull off something miraculous here. They got to get 3 outs before then, though. As Jackson State, it looks like they're about to start emptying the benches. The leadoff batter should be Rodney Hibbler, and that is who is in the batter's box. Jordan McClatty is in the on-deck circle. Maybe the third person down is going to be pinch hit for. And Coach Johnson is just out there telling the umpires ahead of time.
Could be confirming defensive positioning. I'm not sure, but we'll find out here shortly.
And there's the first pitch, Jeffrey Gonzalez to Hibbler. Soft pop-up on the infield of the shortstop. Fading back via Fanye, he makes the play 1 down.
This is what the start to an inning for Bethune-Cookman has looked like throughout the day. Just a quick AB, a quick piece of easy contact for the defense. And that Jackson State has not faced many situations like this is why they find themselves up in this game.
You mentioned it a lot. Jackson State, doesn't matter what the score is. They're going to keep swinging as McClatty puts a charge into one in the air to left field. Long run for Chun. He will get there just inside of the foul line. And 2 pitches, 2 outs for Jeffrey Gonzalez.
And yeah, Jackson State has the luxury of doing a little bit more swinging when they're up in this game, but that hasn't been their approach throughout the majority of this day. They're a smart swinging team. Just because we've seen 2 pitches and 2 outs doesn't mean that that's the kind of team that they are. And they take pitches, they foul pitches off. Maybe that's the biggest part of the day is all the foul balls that they've been able to prolong ABs.
First pitch that was not swung at in the inning is a fastball strike to Lenny Montesano, who is 0 for 5 with 5 flyouts to the outfield. And now Montesano is going to walk back towards the dugout. I'm not sure what's going on there. Can he be replaced mid-at-bat?
I think it's a player-initiated meeting with the coach.
Well, everybody that was in the Jackson State bullpen has just made that long walk back to the dugout. So it is definitely C.J. Lewis's to finish for Jackson State in the bottom of the ninth. And this is a long talk now with Coach Omar over at the dugout for Jackson State. The home plate umpire had to come over and say, "Hey, let's break it up, fellas."
It's definitely different. Coach Johnson didn't really move. Bit of a strange to call for a meeting there. I mean, nobody on the base, 2 outs, up by a lot. Maybe just something, taking a breather, stepping out of the box. You can afford to do that at this point. Not sure I've seen anything like that before.
0-1 to Montesano. Fastball missed outside from Gonzalez. Jeffrey has some good speed, can wind it up into the mid to high 80s with the fastball. He's just a little wild and not quite consistent enough to be one of those go-to guys out of the pen. Here's the 1-1. Montesano pops it foul back out of play, 1-2.
We kind of saw a similar start to the Wildcats' career for his brother, Yohan Gonzalez, who, of course, went on to get signed by the Padres, working his way through their minor league system. But when he came up, really wild. You could see flashes of good stuff, good velocity. His brother Jeffrey doesn't have quite the same mid-90s fastball, but if you can work the control better, you can see flashes here or there.
1 ball and 2 strikes. Here's the pitch. Soft tapper towards third, foul, the third base side of the bag. And the Wildcats have had back-to-back relievers of the year in the Southwestern Athletic Conference.
Back-to-back relievers of the year. Brenton Fisher 3 years ago.
Well, that was before my time.
Yep,
So.
Yohan Gonzalez last year. Pablo Torres this year. I told Johnny, we've got closer you going over here. Brenton Fisher still in the college ranks, transferred to Longwood after his first season here. So I can't quite say what everybody's done as far as their draft prospects as of yet.
Big cut and miss. Montesano goes down on the outside fastball. So a good inning from Jeffrey Gonzalez, taking advantage of some of the free swinging from Jackson State. 1, 2, 3 go the Tigers. We go to the bottom of the ninth. Wildcats need a miracle, down 11-6 on the CatEye Network. Well, the Jackson State Tigers, up 11-6 going to the ninth, have gone to the bullpen and gone to their best arm. It's the senior Christian Womble. He's got a 3.77 ERA, 57 and a third innings pitched. But he pitched 42 last night against Texas Southern. Interesting choice by Omar in the Jackson State dugout to go with their top guy, almost certainly now lose him for tomorrow because he's already warmed up and tossed his warm-up pitches. Even if you get out of this ninth inning in maybe 10 or so pitches, like a best-case scenario, Jose Gonzalez is the batter, first pitch in on the hand, strike 1.
I mean, if we think about it, Womble was a full-time starter for them last year, so maybe you just think that he can give you 3 straight days on the mound, take the day off, and then still be ready for that SWAC championship, or maybe you think you got enough guys to pull their weight tomorrow and you won't need him.
Breaking ball misses inside from Womble. The Wildcats have seen him twice this year. Once in the 6-5 win as a check swing goes for a strike 2 on Gonzalez. for the Wildcats in Daytona Beach and once in the 5-0 loss for BCU in Mississippi. And Womble spikes one in the dirt, 2-2. Hasn't gone more than 6 2/3. He started out as a starter early in the season and then transitioned to the bullpen as that one's low and actually skips by the catcher. The count goes full 3-2. But Womble consistently one of the best arms in the SWAC over the past couple of years. 3-2. Ground ball left side. Base hit into left field. And a nice AB by Jose Gonzalez as he works his second hit of the game.
And maybe now if you're Bethune-Cookman, you can start to hang your hat on the last couple of innings where you've finally been able to kind of do what we hoped they would do throughout the day, which is just put runners on early in half innings, not with 2 guys out, being able to finally get a little bit of flexibility on the base pass, steal some bags.
Batter is Manny Sufrain. First pitch inside, fastball called strike 1 by the home plate umpire Calvin Hill Jr. With Gonzalez on first after his leadoff single to left. Sufrain watches one out of the zone, low, ball 1. Manny, 1 for 4. He's only hit an infield single up the middle that he legged out after a tough play by the shortstop Tate. He swings and lifts one high in the air to left field. Going over Huerta near the track. He had a little bit of trouble finding it, but he does make the catch. And there's one away.
Sufrain has gone a lot to opposite field to start this tournament run. I'm surprised we haven't seen him try to pull the ball a little bit more. Obviously hunting that short porch. If he can go down the line, 329 is not far into left field, but it's not really been his game.
Batter is the catcher, Jorge Rodriguez. First pitch, fastball strike at the knees. Rodriguez 0 for 2 with 2 walks in the game. Gonzalez leads off first. Here's the pitch. Swinging a foul straight back, and it's 0-2. Wildcats have never really looked at the races today, either offensively nor defensively. 0-2. Swing and a miss. He made that swing decision way late. The ball was almost in the glove when he took the bat off his shoulder, and there's 2 down. Wildcats down to their last outs. And the batter will be Jamie Villafane.
If anybody has been indicative of how far the ball has been flying out of this ballpark, it's Villafane yesterday nearly put one over that wall in left field.
First pitch, strike at the knees to Jamie. The senior from South Florida, transferred from FSCJ, the 0-1. He got the called strike 2, did Womble. Low and away, and the Jackson State crowd rises to its feet. Womble, the stretch and the pitch. Inside, ball 1. Jackson State 1 strike away from having the inside track to the finals out of the A bracket. Outside, no call that time, 2-2. That's a tough pitch to lay off of if you're Jamie, as you know that outside's been called all day long. But he's going to see one more. 2-2, 2 down. Womble, the kick, and the pitch. Strike 3. Villafane looked at it right down the middle. And that's the end of the game. Jackson State moves to the upper bracket final. They win this one 11-6. And even though the final score may have been only 5 runs, it felt for a long time like the Wildcats were down by 50.
It's the kind of effort that we expected from Jackson State, because even in the losses against you early on in this year, on the road, at home, this was the kind of team that they are. They don't shy down from anybody. They certainly aren't, they don't look the part of a 4 seed, and they're going to be a tough out no matter who they get. And now the Wildcats are going to have a tougher hill to climb, but it's a mistake of their own doing. I'm not sure, combination of yesterday, a little bit too much thinking, maybe just seeing tougher competition than you saw yesterday and a little bit of an adjustment period. But the bottom line is you've got to reset. You're still very much alive. They had an even tougher road a season ago to get back to that championship game. They powered all the way through it. And we know this Wildcats team is capable of it. And we'll have to see what they've got going forward.
Final line score, Jackson State 11 runs on 15 hits. They committed 1 error and left 10 runners on base. Bethune-Cookman 6 runs on 6 hits, 2 errors, and left 9 on base. I mean, it's not a total wash for BCU, right? A couple of players had good days at the plate. Sergio Rivera, a nice day. Obviously, the home runs by Cordova and by Jose Gonzalez speak to the fact that the power is still there. It just wasn't consistent enough on either side of the ball for the Wildcats, which has really been their problem all season long. They've had fantastic performances, and they've had performances that make you shake your head, like this one today.
And as with any baseball contest at any level with any stakes, you're only as good as your next day's starting pitcher. And as Coach Hernandez continues to preach, pitch to pitch, inning to inning, well, just as we said coming into today, reset and don't let the highs of yesterday ruin your day. Don't let the lows of today ruin your day tomorrow. We saw Daniel Gaviria finish outstandingly in that final game of the season. You hope he can give you an effort like that and put a charge into these Wildcats. They're going to need it because they'll have to win 2 tomorrow to stay alive.
Once again, your final score, Jackson State 11, Bethune-Cookman 6. Taking a look at what that does to the bracket. Jackson State moves to the winners bracket final in bracket A. They'll take on the winner of Bethune-Cookman and Texas Southern. That game coming your way tomorrow, 9 a.m. Eastern time on the CatEye Network Radio. Join Bryce and myself for that. If we win that game, well, we'll stay in this booth for another one because at 3:30 we'll have to get back on the air for a doubleheader. It's going to be the longest day of the year for these guys wearing maroon and gold. It's going to be so tough, but it can be done. We proved it last year.
It tests your grit. It tests your mentality. It tests your bullpen, if nothing else. These Wildcats, last year when we talked to Coach Hernandez after the fact, told us straight up, I didn't think that our guys had the fortitude to come back and be able to make that title run. Well, we don't know how he feels about this year's team. So many guys from last year's team, Garrett Chun, Colton Olson, many others, Manny Sufrain, Daniel Gaviria, they were part of that team that shirked the expectations of their head coach, that showed him, know what, we do have what it takes to make this run. We do have the togetherness and that winning mentality to make it all the way back. It's only going to get harder from here, but there's guys on this team that can do it. I think Coach Hernandez deep down knows that too, and hopefully we'll have a fun day tomorrow.
Join us early tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Eastern. We'll be on the air with our pregame show about 10 minutes before that. For Bryce Reynowski and our entire media crew here at Rush Chandler Stadium, McNeese Baseball Park in Atlanta, Georgia, my name is Michael Torello signing off from this one. The Wildcats drop at 11-6. We'll see you tomorrow on the CatEye Network.